crypto, physical fitness, and trade deals. It was another busy week at the White House. Let's break it all down in this week's MAGA Minute. The president met with the president of the European Commission, and President Trump signed a historic trade deal, with the EU agreeing to purchase $750 billion worth of U.S. energy, invest an additional $600 billion in the United States, and to open the European Union's markets to American-made goods. President Trump also secured a historic trade deal with South Korea, with Korea purchasing $100 billion worth of U.S. energy products. President Trump hosted UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer and Lady Starmer at his Trump Turnberry golf course in Scotland, before returning back to the States and delivering remarks on making health technology great again. The White House unveiled a report outlining a framework for achieving U.S. digital asset dominance. The U.S. economy grew at a 3.0% pace in Q2, shattering economists' expectations, with nearly 3/4 of economists surveyed by Bloomberg getting it wrong. And following President Trump's intervention, Cambodia and Thailand agreed to a ceasefire, once again saving thousands of lives. President Trump launched an AI challenge to foster the greatest AI projects across the country and propel our nation to new heights of scientific innovation and economic achievement. President Trump also sent letters to pharmaceutical manufacturers outlining the steps they must take to bring down the price of prescription drugs in the United States. The president hosted a variety of professional athletes, including professional golfers Bryson DeChambeau and Annika Sorenstam, WWE legend Triple H, Kansas City Chiefs kicker Harrison Butker, and former New York Giants linebacker Lawrence Taylor at the White House to unveil the President's Council on Sports, Fitness, and Nutrition. We are bringing back the presidential fitness test in America's public schools to make America healthy again. It was another very busy week, and we'll see you for next week's MAGA Minute.
Just over a year ago, I launched my campaign for President of the United States. 107 days, traveling the country, fighting for our future. The shortest presidential campaign in modern history. It was intense, high stakes, and deeply personal for me and for so many of you. Since leaving office, I've spent a lot of time reflecting on those days, talking with my team, my family, my friends, and pulling my thoughts together. In essence, writing a journal that is this book, 107 Days. With candor and reflection, I've written a behind-the-scenes account of that journey. I believe there's value in sharing what I saw, what I learned, and what I know it will take to move forward. In writing this book, one truth kept coming back to me. Sometimes The fight takes a while. But I remain full of hope, and I remain clear-eyed. I will never stop fighting to make our country reflect the very best of its ideals, always on behalf of the people. So thank you for being in this fight with me. I am forever grateful, and I cannot wait for you to read this, and I'll see you out there. Take care.
Shots ring out in a barroom night. Enter Betty Valentine from the upper hall. She sees a bartender in a pool of blood. Cries out, my God, they've killed them all. Here comes the story of the hurricane. The man the authorities came to blame for something that he never done. Put in a prison cell, but one time he could have been the champion of the world. Three bodies lying there, does Patty see? And another man named Bello moving around mysteriously. I didn't do what he says, and he throws up his hands. I was only robbing the register, I hope you understand. I saw him leave and he says, and he stops. One of us had better call up the cops. And so Patty calls the cops. And they arrive on the scene with their red lights flashing in a hot New Jersey night. Meanwhile, far away in another part of town, Reuben Carter and a couple of friends are driving around. Number one contender for the middleweight crown. Had no idea what kind of shit was about to go down when a cop pulled him over to the side of the road. Just like the time before and the time before that. In Patterson, that's just the way things go. If you're black, you might as well not show up on the street unless you wanna draw the heat. Alfred Bello had a partner and he had a rap for the cops. Him and other Dexter Bradley were just out prowling around. He said, I saw two men running out who looked like middleweights. Jumped into a white car without upstate plates. And Miss Patty Valentine just nodded her head. Cops said, wait a minute, boys, this one's not dead. So they took him to the infirmary. And though this man could hardly see, he told him he could identify the guilty man. Oh, in the morning in a room and in, they took him to the hospital and they brought him upstairs. The wounded man looks up to his one dying eye. Say, why'd you bring him in here for? He ain't the guy. Here's the story of the hurricane. The man the authorities came to blame for something that he never done. Put in a prison cell, but one time he could have been the champion of the world. 4 months later, the ghetto's on flame. Rubens in South America fighting for his name. Well, after Dexter Bradley's still in the robbery game. And the cops are putting the screws to him looking for somebody to blame. Remember that murder that you happened in a bar? Remember you said you saw the getaway car? Thinking like to play ball with the law. Think it might have been that fighter that you saw running at night. Don't forget that you are white. Arthur Dexter Bradley said, I'm really not sure. The cop said, a poor boy like you can use a break. We got you for the motel job and you're talking to your friend Bello. You don't want to have to go back to jail, be a nice fellow. You'll be doing society a favor. That son of a bitch is brave and getting braver. We wanna put his ass in the stir. We wanna pin this triple murder on him. He ain't no gentleman, Jay. Ruben could take a man out with just one punch, but he never did like to talk about it all that much. It's my work, he'd say, I do it for pay. And when it's over, just as soon go on my way up to some paradise where the trout streams flow and the air is nice, and ride a horse along the trail. But then they took him to the jailhouse where they tried to turn a man into a mouse. Were marked in advance. The trial was a pig circus, he never had a chance. The judge made Ruben's witnesses drunkards from the slums. To the white folks who watched, he was a revolutionary bum. And to the black folks, he was just a crazy nigger. No one doubted that he pulled the trigger. And though they could not produce the gun, the DA said he was the one who did the deed. And the old white jury agreed. Was falsely tried. The crime was murder when, guess who testified? Bello and Bradley, and they both all they lied. And the newspapers, they all went along for the ride. How can the life of such a man be in the palm of some fool's hand? To see him obviously framed couldn't help but make me feel ashamed to live in a land where justice is a game. Criminals in the coats and their ties are free to drink martinis and watch the sunrise, while Reuben sits like Buddha in a 10-foot cell, an innocent man in a living hell. Yes, that's the story of the hurricane, but it won't be over till they clear his name and give him back the time he's done. Put in a prison cell, but one time he could have been the champion of the world.
In America lost all power after 1960. And our last president with any power whatsoever, that's Dwight Eisenhower, warned us when he left office of two things, the CIA and the military-industrial complex, that would eventually take all of our freedoms if we allowed them. They became one thing, and they have taken all of our freedoms. Now, you think that presidents make decisions in vacuums? No. We're in the age of information. We act on information, and those who control information are the ones in power, people. Especially if you are covert and you can say, Mr. President, you don't have a need to know. It's a legal response if the president wants to know if we have aliens. You don't have a need to know, my friend. You're a transient. You're here for 4 fucking years. You're gone. We are lifetime employees of the U.S. government. We know what's best. Now, you think you can control someone? You can control them by giving them selective information or by giving them outright lies. Look at the second Gulf War, people. The CIA did not want Saddam gaining power in the region, and he did, and it alarmed them. And they finally decided, we're going to bomb Iraq into the Stone Age. Harry, you and Sam, you know the president. Go tell them fuck, they got nuclear weapons or make something up, but make the bombing happen tomorrow. Are we clear? President didn't make that decision. The CIA made that decision. You go to the president and say, Mr. President, Iraq has nuclear weapons, and as we told you, they have ballistic missiles capable of destroying England. Imagine London tomorrow, bombed to the ground, Birmingham, Liverpool, well, not Liverpool, no one gives a shit about Liverpool, but forget that. London, yes. You can't ride that Ferris wheel anymore. Next day, the bombing began. Were there nuclear weapons? Fuck no. The world knew it. The American people knew it. The only people who did not was the president and Congress. Why? Advised by the CIA. Wake. Please, God, wake the fuck up.
Remember when Trump held up a number 2 in his post? What if there's 2 first arrests? Remember what the noticer said? Everything, everywhere, all at once. Look at the news. The news is pointing towards Hillary and Obama. The suspect accused of killing a couple in Arkansas, like the state where Bill Clinton was governor first. The couple were murdered while they were hiking, same as the Clintons' chef that mysteriously drowned while hiking. Interesting how Obama's chef mysteriously drowned while paddleboarding. Look at Fox News. They said Nancy Pelosi was frazzled, hinting about frazzle drip. Hillary.
The question she was about to be asked left her frazzled. And then it was asked, and then she was, I don't know, it was a moment. Still sitting.
Mickey clock shows 12:12. Remember when Phil said everything changed in 2012?
What was the event that happened in 2012 that changed the future? For the better? I'll wait.
Essentially, Hillary lost in 2012. She already lost the presidential run in 2016. She lost in 2012 because they had it all. Because Snowden helped hack in and get the proof, the evidence, that the deep state was hacking elections and fraudulently elected Obama for the second time. Q-Post 1834, which was posted on August 10th, which is 10 days from today, August 1st. They never thought she would lose. Now they all lose. Obama won the election the second time on November 5th of 2012. And then in 2013, Snowden went on the run, and Donald Trump agreed to run. Tulsi Gabbard has never wavered, always standing firm on granting Snowden clemency. And now she's coming forward, accusing Obama of directing a year-long coup against Trump and the American people. And the timing of this is interesting because 12 years ago, in July and August 1st, Snowden was on the run. He was on the run from Obama 12 years ago, like the Mickey clock shows 12:12. And wouldn't it be an epic boomerang? Snowden was on the run from Obama.
But now it looks like Obama's on the run. Why has he not made a statement? These are pretty heavy accusations that are being slung about him. Treasonous coup? Obama? Why has he not made any posts or any statements about these accusations? Is Obama on the run? Why was Obama so concerned about getting Snowden? What does Snowden really have? What if we don't know all the information yet that Snowden really has? Does Gabbard know? What if it's valuable information to take Obama and the Clintons down? Did Snowden really act by himself? No. Snowden was an operation, an alias, with operators dialed into specific orders, working behind the scenes. What if they made a secret alliance with Russia? What if Snowden didn't even go to Russia? What if it was a total art of war distraction to bait Obama in and trap him? The news is pointing to Snowden. Trump said he's going to change the timeline of his Russia deadline. He moved it down to 10 days. QPost 282. I have a question, 10 days. Darkness. When? Shutdown.
CBS News White House reporter Olivia Rinaldi is joining us now from Washington. Olivia, thanks for being here. President Trump just spoke on Air Force One. He said that Russia now has 10 days to make a deal with Ukraine. What more do you know?
Yeah, Joe Ling, this is part of the frustration that this White House has been expressing with Russia over the continued war in Ukraine. The president earlier this week said that he was shortening that 50-day timeline that he had set a couple of weeks ago to 10 to 12 days. He says the reason why he had to do that was because he felt that they would have the same answer at the end of 50 days as they would at the end of 10 to 12 days. So why not just shorten it? So on Air Force One there, the president says it's now a 10-day deadline for Russia to get to the table with Ukraine and make a ceasefire. And if they don't, there's going to be action from the U.S. and that could come in the form of punishing sanctions, punishing secondary sanctions, more tariffs on Russia, anything the president can do to kind of maximize that pressure to get them to the table with Ukraine.
Fox News reported public broadcasting shutdown. Trump said Russia has 10 days. Russia. Snowden. 10 days. QPost 1834, which was posted on August 10th, which is 10 days from today, August 1st. They never thought she would lose. Now they all lose. So what if this is all connected? What if we already won in 2012? What if everything's connected? Clintons, Snowden, Obama, Russia, everything. What if it starts with the Snowden operation stepping out of the shadows and showing the election fraud proof? And what if Gabbard knows this? What if they're setting the stage? Because they have it all. Shall we play a game once more? Oh, we'll play. Because we have checkmate.
Patriot Princess.
Through the blood of Christ, we have become that new nation of blessing. And the promises, for example, I will bless those that bless thee and curse those who curse thee. Right. A lot of people are saying right now that that's the nation of Israel in the Mideast. No, that's a political creation. Right. Via the Brits and the Rothschild family. It's political Israel. It is not spiritual Israel. And we have lots of beautiful, Christians that live there from all over the world, people of faith. But political Israel is a creation of man. Yep. And the Israel which the scriptures speak of is this body of Christ. So there's a lot of believers and there's a lot of pastors and prophets and all sorts of things that, have got a propaganda thing going, like we as America, no matter what, we just have to back Israel no matter what. And that's just not true. That's political Israel. Albert Pike, in the mid-1800s, in his book Morals and Dogma, described how they needed 3 world wars to create a one world government and to bring in the government of Lucifer. Wow. Okay. And the 3rd war would be a religious war between the Jews, the Christians, and the Muslims. Well, part of the pathway in getting there is the creation of political Israel, right, with the Balfour Declaration and then the UN affirming it. The UN being a creation of the Rockefeller brothers after World War II. And again, funded by the Lucis Trust. I could go into hours and hours on that, but the long and short of it is you're looking at political Israel. Does God have many of his people there? Yeah. Has the propaganda been successful in conning people into believing that this is somehow the Israel of the Bible? Yeah, it's been great. Is there, because of location, in the area promised to Abraham and his descendants, some correlation? Yes, absolutely. But not everything that happens in Israel is something that we would back or want to be part of. It's actually a blocking move aimed towards the return of Christ by placing the Antichrist on the throne there, by the way.
Yes, and we had a great conversation when you were here in Gettysburg when we met for dinner, and
we're in this complete shifting of the polls where the Republicans now are in favor of free speech. The Republicans want to end the wars. They want to stop contributing to foreign countries. They want comedy to be comedy again. They don't want restrictions on people's behavior and thinking.
Yeah.
And the Democrats have developed this sort of like cult-like idea of what everyone should accept and what's normal and what's not normal and what needs to be elevated in our population and what needs to be ignored. And it's just like, God damn, you're ruining it for everybody that thinks in a left way. Like anybody who's reasonable, like a reasonable left-thinking person, which is most artists, by the way.
Yeah, of course.
And then you get to this point where you're like, no, I can't go along with you on all these things.
Yeah.
You guys you're just a bunch of fucking assholes who are using these subjects as a way where you can behave incredibly shitty, incredibly uncharitable, like vicious, mean, ostracizing people from society. I don't want any part of you. I don't want any part of the way you guys think and behave. And you to pretend that you're doing it for good, you're gluing yourself to the wall for climate change. The fuck you are. Yeah. You're just a nut. You're just a crazy, entitled nut, and you're fucking up society. Yeah. This is not the way that people should be behaving.
As we drain the waters from the Great Lake, Michigan, a steel column is exposed, rising 40 feet to the ocean surface. It is a water intake station. Claiming to have built this in 1865 by putting up cofferdams, pumping the water out, and then getting to the lake bottom and digging 200 more feet down. All the while, take a 90-degree turn and head 3 to 7 miles back to land with no compressed air or power tools. Plus the fury of Lake Michigan and its frozen waters in the winter. These water intake stations on Lake Michigan were built prior to the killing of the reservoir that is Lake Michigan. They didn't dig down in between cofferdams to reach the bottom and dig another 200 feet down. They just simply did it before they flooded the area. It was planned, created, and implemented by the highest concentration of Masons in the country, the Great Lakes.
Hi, Janine Pirro here, U.S. Attorney in Washington, D.C. I just want to invite you into my day to let you in on a little interesting case. We have an individual who is a 4-time deportee. That means he's been deported 4 times. He's also an aggravated felon. Many felony convictions, that's why he was deported. But he managed to make it back. He is, in fact, working on Capitol Hill. He's not only working on Capitol Hill, he is working outside and apparently is involved working the grounds as a gardener or something. So we, with ICE, have been trying to arrest the individual. We are not allowed to go on Capitol Hill to make an arrest. We've been told that we're not allowed to do that. So ICE has been waiting for 8 hours to arrest this individual, and we're coming to the end of his shift, and he goes inside and suddenly he's not available for an arrest. Now, ain't that swell? Here we are in the nation's capital fighting for truth and justice, and they're making sure that the illegals with criminal backgrounds get to stay.
But the lie is coming. All indications, like all of them, is that that lie is going to be that there is a craft slowly making its way to us here on Earth. And that is the lie they're going to want you to believe. It's nuanced, how they explain that, the nature of that threat. But that 100% is the lie you are going to be told. You even got a date. People have been whispering a date for a long time now. I know where that lie comes from. I know specifically what document from the 70s initiated the idea of that lie. A classified document. That is the lie you will be told. You're going to be told that there is a craft on its way to Earth. That's the lie. Maybe I'm wrong. I hope I'm wrong. I sent you 2 texts today with a year. Not from me. Nope. I'm not going to propagate that lie. Not going to be part of it. Not going to say it to the camera. Everybody knows. Just start paying attention. And they'll change the date, especially if they see this. Things will change. Because maybe I'm trustworthy. Maybe I'm worthy of your trust. Maybe I've told you the truth the whole way through it. Now you can verify it. If that's the case, then I'm fucking dangerous. You've been told the truth about UFOs for a long time now. It's been pretty orchestrated. It's been pretty clear. And it's using people that are telling the truth and want to tell the truth. Ultimately, they want you to know something. They want you to know UFOs are real. Thank God we're finally there. We're all there now. They want you to know the truth. But why they want you to know that truth now? I hope I'm wrong, but it's terrifying. Think about it. Maybe it's good to get ahead of it. Call it out now before they do it. I'll be called crazy. That's okay.
Smart materials. Like one of the things is when these materials, you'd be looking at them and you try and reverse engineer them, that they would turn to dust. And they would do it within a minute or two. And then so you could take the dust and then set it off and get the isotopic analysis done on them. And they were extraterrestrial. But these materials, I mean, we're looking at something that's hundreds of years ahead of us. When you look under a microscope, an electron microscope, you're looking at something that's composed of very small particles that seem to be communicating with one another. So those are the things that I've been involved in that we can talk about. But, I think that's one of the reasons why extraterrestrial materials are not really available to most people, is because most of them are set to disintegrate if they get in the wrong hand. Isotopic analysis of the dust that's left behind tells you it's extraterrestrial, at least where it was manufactured. But so we're looking at materials that can reconfigure themselves. They are composed of small subunits. So the type of things I looked at were something as small as a sliver of metal that would reconfigure itself depending on where it was. It would cloak itself and it would try to blend into the environment. So the ones that this one NGO used to get a hold of were the ones that were technically broken. I guess the ones that didn't really function very well. So then you could collect them every once in a while and then try to analyze them. You could do things like split them apart, and they would attempt to find each other or reconfigure. Some of the experiments they did was we took one of those and we put it on a very hot surface of about 3,000 degrees. And what it would do is it cooled the surface around itself. And then when we took the device off and then waited again, we would find that the mass would be reduced by a certain amount.
Do these feel like programmed materials to you, Richard?
Yeah, they were, like I was saying, they're more intelligent materials. Like these subunits probably had computational functionality, right? Because they knew what their neighbors were all about, and they knew they could reprogram themselves to be something different, right? If they needed to change themselves. So these are really curious types of materials. So that's how we could kind of tell they were extraterrestrial, because these things weren't like decades ahead of us. They were probably hundreds of years ahead of us.
There are stories that I am particularly focused on, in part just because you talk with your buddies about it. Like, I'm obsessed with the whole UFO thing. What's actually going on? What were those videos all about? What's actually happening? I haven't gotten to the bottom of it yet, but we're only 6 months in. We've been very busy. That's actually the August recess is in part me going to try to dive to the bottom of the whole UFO thing from last year. So,
I mean, you got to have us back.
Okay, I'll let you know. I'll let you know.
We'll help you go through the whole Roswell situation and everything.
Yeah.
He's a big UFO guy. So.
I am. I've been to Roswell. I've done the tours. I've done the whole thing.
Did you see any aliens?
No, I saw the hangar where they were.
We got Newsom. We got him. We sent a PRA request to the state of California asking for documents to support governor's claim that he had pre-positioned 110 engines in Southern California in the days prior to the Palisades fire. We just received the state's production, and not surprisingly, Gavin lied. And according to the documents at the governor's Office of Emergency Services, pre-positioned 45 engines and 3 hand crews January 5th to Southern California. All caps, none of them were sent to Pacific Palisades. In fact, the closest resources were sent to Santa Clarita, over an hour away from the Palisades. This evidence supports our claim against the state of California that it did nothing to ensure that the Lockman fire did not rekindle on its parkland during the predicted and historic Santa Ana wind event. If they were going to pre-position resources anywhere, you'd think to send a strike team to Pacific Palisades, where a fire had occurred days earlier in Topanga State Park, the majority of which had not burned in. The only thing Governor Gavin Newsom was truthful about was admitting that the Palisades fire started on state park land.
Donald Trump is here tonight. Now, I know that he's taken some flack lately, but no one is happier, no one is prouder to put this birth certificate matter to rest than the Donald. And that's because he can finally get back to focusing on the issues that matter. Like, did we fake the moon landing? What really happened in Roswell? And where are Biggie and Tupac?
In Las Vegas, Nevada, at the MGM Grand, was just another false flag that played out very, very well. And people bowed down and people really worshipped what happened because they thought that their idol was taken and it wasn't right. So of course, everybody really believes what happened at the MGM Grand happened. But what people don't know is that the MGM Grand is also well known for human trafficking, drug smuggling, organ harvesting, not to mention the other things that they get away with trafficking throughout the casino. Whether it comes for their own restaurants, whether it's something for their own casino. MGM Grand is one of the biggest casinos that are well known for the things that have happened. It just everybody looks it over because it's Las Vegas. Nobody questions it. Nobody digs too deep into it. But that was the false flag. That was supposedly what happened, right? He was shot in the car in front of the MGM Grand.
What do you say to those who just say this is just more anti-vaccine propaganda and that this will only further deteriorate people's trust in vaccines?
My job as Secretary of HHS is to restore trust in the vaccine program so that parents know that we're telling them the truth, that we tell them the things that we know, we tell them the things that we don't know, and we tell them the things that, are both good and bad about vaccines. Vaccines are very, very useful in many cases, but they do cause injuries occasionally, and we need to be frank about that, and we need to have compassion toward the children who are injured. We can't gaslight the parents. We can't gaslight the children. We can't marginalize and vilify the doctors and de-license the doctors who report injuries. We can't punish and retract articles by the scientists who document those injuries. We have to start being honest again with the American public. And my philosophy is that public health officials should never lie. They should never, Anthony Fauci used to talk about the noble lie. He would tell people things to get them to do things that were good for them. Well, we're going to start trusting the American public, that they're the best judges of what's good for them, what's good for their kids, and what they need is good information that they can believe, and not information that they've been fed by public health agencies to try to manipulate their behavior.
What is going on with Macron?
I mean, it's the craziest thing that's ever happened, certainly in my life. It's been repeatedly crazy, from the Trump call to the lawsuit. I didn't even know.
Can you just back up a little bit for those who don't know what you're referring to, the Trump call? What does that mean?
So I was called by Trump in February. Emmanuel Macron had visited Trump, and I had done this series. It was about his wife, Brigitte Macron. And the series got a lot of views, and Emmanuel Macron personally flew to DC and asked Trump to ask me to shut up, to just stop speaking about his wife. And
Did you know this was going to rise to the level of international incident?
No. And it's actually making me go back, and historically I'm thinking, all the times that we were told that a war ended because of this or because of that. If this was one element of negotiation of Emmanuel Macron to Trump, and the topic of why he was, ostensibly there was to discuss the end of the Ukrainian and Russian war, but you're taking Trump aside and you're asking him to shut up this podcaster in the US. I'm wondering if anything that we're told in our history books is real.
So that is exactly right.
is unbelievably stunning, something completely new, and it needs to be looked at. And we're not going to stop till the New York Times and the Washington Post, who haven't done a damn thing to get to the bottom of any of this, who want to Pulitzer Prize for spreading bullshit.
Give it back.
Give it back. We're not stopping. We're not going to let this go. This is the best evidence yet. This was a cooked up scheme to destroy Donald Trump for the benefit of Hillary Clinton.
It looks like there was some scheme cooked up every election, doesn't there? Because also, I would argue, between 20 and 2024, weaponization and lawfare was used against Trump. But, Senator, I got to roll. We will have you back, I promise.
Stay tuned.
Thank you for your...
We begin tonight with a Fox News alert. President-elect Donald Trump has just nominated Kash Patel for director of the FBI.
President-elect Trump continues stocking his new administration with staunch loyalists and says the FBI is part of what he calls the deep state conspiracy against the president-elect and his allies.
Trump has gone and picked someone to lead the FBI who has pledged to weaponize that agency on his behalf.
Let's just take a second to reflect on who Trump is trying this week to install as head of the FBI.
Well, first of all, Kash Patel should not be confirmed.
Someone like Kash Patel is not fit to run an agency of this significance.
On day one, roll out the black book. Day one, roll out all of the text message communications we were told were deleted.
If and when Donald Trump wins the presidency, there may be a full-fledged investigation into those in Congress who aided and abetted this corrupt criminal activity. And let's see who broke the law. Exposure of corruption. Put out the documents, put out the evidence. We only have gotten halfway down the Russiagate hole. The people need to know that their FBI is restored by knowing full well what they did to unlawfully surveil them. We will go out and find the conspirators, not just in government, but in the media. Yes, we're going to come after the people in the media who lied about American citizens, who helped Joe Biden rig presidential elections. We're going to come after you. Whether it's criminally or civilly, we'll figure that out. But yeah, we're putting you all on notice. Yep. There's going to be a cataclysmic implosion in Washington, D.C., the likes that we have not seen. And the deep state, once it's sunk, cannot be raised, just like the Titanic. And we are going to see a new day in Washington where people are held accountable internally in government for their criminal conduct.
I think it's important for us to understand where this entire war came from. It did not come from Bashar al-Assad. It came from Washington. There was a decision in 2011 to overthrow Assad. Actually, that came from Jerusalem. This has been a desire of the Israeli government that stretches back more than 25 years. Netanyahu's idea is make the Middle East in Israel's image, overthrow every government that opposes Israel. He's had a friend in that, and that is the CIA and the United States government.
Submarine. Oh yeah, well we had to do that. We just have to be careful. And a threat was made, and we didn't think it was appropriate, so I have to be very careful. So I do that on the basis of safety for our people. A threat was made by a former president of Russia, and we're going to protect our people.
Somebody very special here today. I've got Lauren here, and we just want to make sure there's nothing but perfect health. Pray for your speedy healing of this beautiful body and this beautiful person. The soul is intact, the soul is beautiful, the soul is one with our Lord and Savior. But right now, there's nothing but perfect health, rapid recovery, and it's already done. There are no excuses, because in your will and your way, all things can be done because you told us so. In Jesus' name I pray. Thank you for the healing. All is well, even now. Amen. It's already done. It's already done. When you pray like it's already done. That's what they want. That's what it says. Because you don't, oh, well, my back hurts because I'm an old wrestler. I've had 10 back surgeries. Could you please heal me? Yeah, that's total faith, unwavering faith. And he can heal you. So it's just up to you to believe and have total faith. And you will pick the reason because you're very special. very special to all of us, especially in my little segment until you got us really to say Jesus Christ. So we love you guys so much. And thank you for coming by and letting me steal some energy, because I'll tell you what, I was getting tired. And now I'm still all your energy, so you're going to need a nap when you leave here, because you're going to be tired, because I still just leave here. Okay. You just hang in there and be tough. Just like you always pray, just thank you for control, healing, just so great. Okay, this is just a very temporary situation. Okay. Love you. It's so nice. I knew I was going to be fine stuff today. Thank you so much. You guys have fun. Now I got to sign a paper. What's going on with me signing a paper?
We didn't know you were going to be here. Listen, man, we came yesterday and I got your picture. This is hard.
Did you win?
Yes, we did.
How'd you win the pickle?
You and everybody else. Okay.
That's good. WIM?
President who believes she is above the law. Lock her up. That's right. That's right. Lock her up. I'm going to tell you what. I have called on Hillary Clinton to drop out of the race because she put our nation's security at extremely high risk with her careless use of a private email server. If I, a guy who knows this business, if I did a tenth of what she did, I would be in jail today.
Shouldn't be hurt.
Yeah.
And I would assume that was why he was there. I want to release everything. I just don't want people to get hurt. You can't have people associated. First of all, the files were run by some very bad people and very sick people like Comey and Lisa, the whole group, all those people in that office. They ran those files for 4 years. And if they were going to use the files, they would have used it before my election. Right. Because unless they're stupid, which to a certain extent they are stupid.
You're saying they would have released the information?
Well, they had the files. They control the files. Yes. I didn't control the files. They control the files for 4 years. So if they had something, they would have released it before the election, because they are not geniuses, but
President Trump said today that both he and the First Lady are deeply affected by the starvation crisis in Gaza, as health officials there say the death toll keeps rising.
She thinks it's terrible, and she sees the same pictures that you see, and that we all see, and I think everybody, unless they're pretty cold-hearted or worse than that, nuts. There's nothing you can say other than it's terrible when you see the kids.
On Monday, the president said the U.S. will set up food centers in Gaza to help those facing starvation and malnutrition, and he disagreed with Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, who said over the weekend there is no starvation in Gaza.
51-year-old actor Doug Hutchison meets 16-year-old Courtney Stodden. They get married. Lara sat down with the newlyweds, and Lara, this couple really has to deal with the ick factor.
Well, and that's why they wanted to come on GMA, George, and tell their side of the story. As you know, it takes a lot to raise eyebrows in Hollywood, and older men marrying younger women, not that uncommon. But what has people so up in arms about this story? We're talking about a 16-year-old girl and a man not just old enough to be her father, he actually is older than her father.
Now, do you understand why people are reacting so negatively to your circumstance?
Yes and no. We both knew, and we talked about this when we started.
Just didn't hear gut. You know why. Come on.
Yes.
16 and 50.
Yes.
Gets a little gross.
It's not gross to us.
To you, I understand. But you understand people reacting to it. That's their reaction.
I suppose in the West, in our Western culture, yeah.
All right, so let me ask you guys right off the bat. The relationship is a sexual relationship, of course, because you're married, right?
Yes.
Right. When did that begin? Did that begin in the dating process, or did you wait till you were married?
On our honeymoon.
After marriage.
After marriage. All right, Dr. Jen Berman is with us. She's, but let's get to you right away. Because sometimes we were here with Linda Hogan and the much younger guy that she was dating. Is this relationship okay?
You ask a very complicated question. And I think that
well, and we have spoken very openly about this. Well, I don't agree with the timing of their marriage. This is not a fake relationship. And after spending 3 intensive weeks with them, I think the biggest myth about their relationship is that it's a publicity scam, and it is not.
I don't think that's the myth.
Yeah. And it's not the timing, it's the age difference.
Yeah, it is that they married when she's 16.
What are your concerns about another Trump presidency?
Well, he represents a serious threat to the rule of law.
Comey's a traitor, throw his ass in jail. Things done in secret, exposed in detail. Watch the criminal traitors as they scramble, preying Americans asleep and off their pride. Lady Justice gonna drop the hammer, law and order restored, gonna make it right. Obama treason must pay for his crimes. Americans were damaged, patriots maligned. Hillary must pay for her crimes, selling America out unending lies. Obama's a traitor, throw his ass in jail. Things done in secret, exposed in detail. We see it, we gotcha.
Welcome, Patriots. Good evening. Good to see ya. Little bit unorganized tonight, but happy Saturday night, everybody. You having a good weekend so far? Let's see if I can back up a little bit. I feel too close. That's better. So, I wasn't sure if I was going to come on tonight, but there's some, few things here and there and some fun stuff to look at. And I just missed you guys, there's always that. So I threw together that intro. Muted myself. Ha. All right, let's get into it. Illinois has become the first state to mandate universal mental health assessments for public school students. This is kind of interesting, probably a little bit frustrating.
Well, Governor Pritzker signing into law today a new state initiative designed to promote better mental health for kids across the state.
Annual screenings will begin in 3rd grade if parents want their children to be part of that program. It's a matter of providing a supportive environment statewide to encourage teen mental health. That's what Governor Pritzker is saying what this initiative is all about.
As governor of this great state, as a father, and as an advocate for mental health, this is an issue that's both important and very personal to me.
As part of the program, mental health screenings in Illinois schools will become a regular thing. The State Board of Education.
I think we should start with the governor. What do you guys think? Pritzker, you first, buddy. Moving forward. India will keep buying Russian oil despite Trump's threats, according to their officials. Can't remember if I put this in the intro
India
or
will
not.
continue buying oil from Russia despite Donald Trump's threats of penalties, according to Indian officials. Trump claimed India would stop purchases, but Indian sources deny any policy shift. While some Indian state refiners have recently paused Russian oil buys due to shrinking discounts, the government maintains its decisions are based on market dynamics and national interests, not third-party pressure.
I think they're a little bit mad about our deals with Pakistan, frankly, but that's just my opinion. The Department of Justice has introduced classified evidence against wannabe Trump assassin Ryan Routh. What could it be? Trump-appointed Judge Eileen Cannon ruled the evidence could cause exceptionally grave damages to the national security of the United States, so she sealed it. This person's thoughts, MJ's thoughts. This woman is one of the best federal judges there is in the United States, and I can envision her in the Supreme Court someday, maybe soon. If she classified it, then there's a very good justified reason. But that also means Ryan Routh wasn't just a random guy. He was deeply involved with something sinister, possibly within our own government. I don't know. I wonder. I don't think it's that, but I could be wrong. Just stuff that can't be talked about right now. I suppose the best way to put it. Maybe he's connected to white hats. Who knows? This is interesting from Dan Scavino Jr. to J.D. Vance saying, thank you, 48. The feeling is 1,000% mutual, suggesting that, J.D. Vance be the next president. But, of course, a lot of us don't think that J.D. Vance is J.D. Vance. Maybe J.D. Vance is John Kennedy Jr. and will be the next president. I don't know. You got to decide on that one. The White House, the Department of Homeland Security, Department of Justice, all issued statements to O'Keefe Media Group in response to their investigation into Vera Institute's involvement with ICE enforcement notification systems. We watched the video yesterday, I believe, and now Trump's people are all getting involved because their ICE officers are getting hurt because of this crap. And Santiago Moquet, Associate Director of Advocacy for the Vera Institute of Justice, took down his X profile following the release of OMG's undercover footage of him revealing Vera tips illegals off regarding ICE whereabouts using secret notification systems in order to avoid the area. They always get rid of their X accounts like it'll actually do anything. And in other news, Joe Biden still alive. I couldn't believe it.
Take a proposition rooted in Scripture and enshrined in our Declaration of Independence, carved into our hearts. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men and women are created equal and deserve to be treated equally throughout their lives. Our Constitution has helped ensure that while we never fully lived up to that, we've never walked away from it either. Our Constitution guarantees a set of basic rights to every single American and sets up institutions to safeguard those rights. Next year, we'll celebrate 250 years since the signing of the Declaration of Independence. But all that soaring rhetoric are just words on pages.
He's kind of lively, isn't he? It's weird. Whoever it is. We hold these truths to be self-evident. That's not Joe Biden. James Comer says he's going to postpone the Ghislaine Maxwell testimony. He told Maxwell in a letter that he planned to delay the meeting following her attorneys ask for the postponement. Read more here. Scheduled congressional deposition of Ghislaine Maxwell is indefinitely postponed, House Oversight Chair James Comer said Friday. He said he would agree to delay the meeting after the lawyers earlier this week requested a postponement in the August 11 testimony, citing a pending Supreme Court petition regarding her case. So, yeah, she's hoping for something to happen. It's never gonna happen, but Comer said his committee was willing to continue to engage in good faith negotiations, but would not grant her congressional immunity, which her lawyers had requested. He added he would also not send her team the questions in advance, another demand of her lawyers. They wanted the questions in advance. Huh? Go figure. I just wanted to point this out. There's some new groups out there really pushing the Nasara Jassara angle, talking about it in a new way, like everyone else who talks about it's talking conspiracy, when actually what they're talking about is conspiracy. It's, you guys know better. Anything that actually goes by the name Nasara, it's a joke. It's not what's happening. And so you should definitely stay away from that kind of junk. This is kind of interesting. James Wood had responded to Hillary Clinton's message saying computer scientists apparently uncovered a covert, this is an old one, server linking the Trump organization to a Russian-based bank. But this is funny because they mentioned, and this doesn't surprise me, those same Perkins Coie computer scientists also went on Ukrainian child porn site, grabbed images, and tried to plant them on Trump's email server. In late 2021, FBI directed me to retrieve a hard drive with proof of this, and I did it. Garland ordered Ray to nuke it in the FBI lab. I mean, damn. Who put that up? I should look at that. Oh, it doesn't tell. Interesting. But, does it surprise you they were going to try and throw child porn on the Trump's computer for fuck's sake. That's a Democrat CIA move all around right there. Anna Paulina Luna is calling on NASA, of all people, to launch an investigation into a potential alien interstellar object identified by Harvard astronomer Avi Loeb. We've looked at this before, but let's just take a look at a couple things here. I guess can't read any of that, but let me show you. I want to show you exactly what Harvard's saying too, and what it looks like. Let me show you this. All right, now let's take a look at exactly what Harvard's saying.
This is Dabu 7. Some updates here to this mystery object Atlas that's on this path toward Earth and has raised a lot of speculation. We actually have an astrophysicist out of Harvard here saying that this thing only has a 0.2% probability of having a natural trajectory. Saying that right out of the gate, the way that it's dropping down, he says it could be alien life or other life, so to speak, heading this way, and for good or bad, it may come to save us or destroy us. It's what he's saying. It's his opinion.
Let's jump into some conclusions, wouldn't you say? Basically, what they're saying is the way they're seeing it move is unlike anything they've seen before. It's not natural. And so they're kind of jumping to conclusions right off the bat, but I don't know. I don't think that's a good way to approach science, but I don't know. Do you guys want to listen to more of that? Or I guess we'll keep looking at it as it gets further to that date. We'll keep going tonight because I got some more interesting stories, some different things I want to look at here in a bit. Our hearts are with the community of Anaconda, Montana, where 4 lives were lost in a senseless bar shooting. As far as I've seen, they're still searching for this suspect they've now identified as Michael Paul Brown, who remains at large, is considered armed and dangerous, clearly. So let's take a look here. I guess there's no audio. Doesn't that figure? That's all right. I'm surprised. Usually they find these guys pretty quick, or quick enough. Let me make sure I'm updated on this story. I don't want to get behind. Don't want to give you bad information. Still at large. He's a veteran. Still at large, yeah. Just wanted to double check that for you guys. But yeah, I don't know. These shootings are so senseless, and they're more and more. An arrest was made in connection with the ATM bombing. Suspect arrested for target ATM explosion connected to international heist crew. The suspect, who allegedly used a bomb to steal from an ATM in San Ramon, California, is accused of being the final arrested member of a South American theft ring. We'll take a quick look here.
The theft at the Target on Bishop Ranch in San Ramon last week rattled neighbors, obviously, and got the FBI's attention.
It sure did. Investigators arrested a suspect in Orange County, and tonight they say he is the last remaining member of a heist crew accused of breaking into banks up and down the West Coast.
ABC 7 News reporter Tara Campbell is on the story.
This San Ramon Target becoming the target itself of a bombing and burglary of an ATM inside. And now the Department of Justice announcing arrest in connection.
It's just scary. Like, I wouldn't want to be here during an event like that.
Prosecutors say the man detonated an improvised explosive device just before 2:30 in the morning Sunday. The man accused of being a member of a South American ATM theft ring, targeting dozens of ATMs and banks in California, Oregon, and Washington, and stealing more than $4 million in cash.
Something like this never happened in San Ramon, so I just it kind of broke my heart to see this happen in our community.
Prosecutors say the crew used blowtorches, construction crew disguises, cell phone jammers, and other sophisticated tactics to break into the ATMs, renting short-term vacation properties nearby and using vehicles from the black market to avoid getting caught. Most of the crew was arrested last year. The San Ramon suspect, the last to be caught.
And while the majority of shoppers we spoke with here knew exactly what was the cause of this damage here behind me, others were shocked to hear that it was an explosive. They blew the ATM up.
Wow, that's like Grand Theft Auto. It's pretty scary that people...
I hadn't even heard that story, so thought we should look at it. All right, let's keep rolling along here. The Trump effect breaks yet another historic record. This is from Tom Homan. In the month of July 2025, the Border Patrol recorded a total of 4,598 total apprehensions on our 2,000-mile-plus southern border. That is the lowest number ever recorded ever, and 0 releases. Compare that total of 4,500 in a month to over 10,000 a day under Biden on many days. Holy crap. Looking at other news here. ICE told Fox that the driver who attempted to run over their agents in Colorado yesterday had been identified as a 6-time previously deported Mexican illegal alien with a rap sheet for child abuse, domestic violence, and multiple felony illegal re-entries. His name's Jose Mendez Chavez, and he's still on the run, wanted for assault on a federal officer after ICE says he tried to ram his vehicle into their agents in Colorado Springs. So, yeah, another guy on the run. Terrible. Prince Andrew is being urged to testify in public over ties to pedophile pal Jeffrey Epstein. You know, it's funny, they always were saying in that one video the other day about the reptilians. They don't sweat. Lizard people don't sweat. And then you got that video, Prince Andrew. Well, she said I sweat, but then that's the thing. I don't sweat, you know. Yeah. They're urging him to reveal all he knows about Jeffrey Epstein under oath. Somehow I don't see that happening, but that's just me. There's an official investigation into Trump prosecutor Jack Smith launched by the Office of Special Counsel. Could have seen that coming. They were all going to pay eventually, weren't they? Rolling Stones put out a weird article claiming that Trump's allies are peddling lies to cover lies. The article argues that President Trump and his supporters are using the newly declassified Durham Annex, a 29-page appendix to the 2023 Durham report, to falsely claim that it proves Hillary Clinton orchestrated the Russian collusion narrative against Trump in 2016. The article suggests these claims are baseless, as the annex actually indicates that some of the evidence, like emails purportedly from George Soros' Open Society Foundation, were likely fabricated by Russian intelligence. Oh boy. That's an interesting twist. That's lawyers for you. Twist anything. The Grand Canyon's Dragon Bravo fires now exploded across more than 100,000 acres. Somehow I missed this beast.
We do want to get to some new information now. We're learning this morning about the Dragon Bravo fire. It is still burning and it is now growing even more. It's burned across more than 100,000 acres along the Grand Canyon's north rim. It's destroyed a lot of buildings as well, as according to Watch Duty.
So this blaze is officially considered now a mega fire since those flames have destroyed over 100,000 acres. 12 News journalist David Chazanov joins us live in the newsroom. So David, this fire continues. It just seems to get worse and worse. It seems like they got a hold on it, and then all of a sudden they don't. So how much of it is it contained right now?
Justin and Allison, good morning. Officials say it's just 4% contained. Experts actually now label it as the 10th largest wildfire in state history, roughly 14,000 acres behind the 9th worst in our state's history. And of course, this situation continues to develop, so new information continues to roll in. The latest incident report shows more than 1,000 firefighters are working to contain the flames. Nearly a week ago, around 26% of the fire was contained, but even though that number has since dropped,
you know, that on top of the Canadian wildfires makes for some smoggy air. That's terrible. I suppose a lot of you could probably notice it in the air, but because Grand Canyon's on fire. Isn't it weird? This was recorded in Dallas a squid-shaped UFO hovering in the sky. We'll let you determine what it is or isn't.
I got it. Oh, what is that?
Ew. Ew, what in the
It's got
world?
tentacles. This is a telescope, and I don't know what this looks like. Bacteria or something.
Ew. That's so gross.
Oh wow, you got it.
Wait, hold on. Can I get it?
I don't know, y'all. This is kind of creepy.
Can I get it? Why?
Very creepy.
The only thing about that didn't set right with me was she said, this is a telescope, and then when she backed out there or whatever, everyone was standing right there. It didn't look like it was that far away. It looked like it was a lot closer, and she was just zooming in with her phone or something. I don't know. The video was making the rounds that I'd show you guys, see what you think. Do you believe in coincidence? In 2020, Q posted a graphic that said American coup d'etat, stating, when this is finished, a much bigger graphic will be needed. And today, Donald Trump posted the exact same post, only bigger. Does that mean this is finished, the coup d'etat? Does it mean it's over? I don't know. It's a bigger graphic for sure. Maybe it's just a little humor. Here's a Delta for today. Something big is about to drop. Don't drop it on my toes. Mike Lindell says a new trial is likely after judge's ruling. Teases explosive report backed by Trump. We'll listen in for a second.
That's what he said to the jury. Well, I stand here before you now and tell you what my lawyers told me today. This is breaking news here. So we filed. Now remember, My Pillow 1, free and clear, done, right? Beautiful. Yes. Now Frank's speech, the old Frank's speech, was $1 million, around $2 million. Well, remember, for me, it's not even the money. They ain't gonna see that money. I ain't gonna pay no criminals money. I'll tell you that. But because of the $5 million challenge, the judge, I don't know if I can call her crooked, I'll probably get sued again, but this judge told the jury, they said, they told the other side that they could bring up that my evidence was no good because of the $5 million challenge. And we objected to it. My jury, or my lawyer said, Lord, Your Honor, you can't put this in, it's in appeal. The jury wasn't even in the room when they argued this over. And she said, no, it's admissible. I'm putting it in. So now by her doing that mistake, we automatically are going to get a new trial because of the appeal, the overturn that the SD evidence is good. It is real anyway, right? It's real. So that's going to get a new trial. And then the one against me, they filed a judgment as a matter of law. The one that's just me personally. The jury found it's an appeal. They ruled that there was nothing reckless.
So Mike Lindell, it sounds like, is going to get a new trial. I've never heard of this Lindell TV. A whistleblower reveals there was $100 billion in secret transactions with Iran and terror groups, says the New York Attorney General Letitia James ignored all the evidence. A former Standard Chartered Bank employee says he uncovered $9.6 billion in transactions involving Hezbollah, Hamas, and Iran's Revolutionary Guard, and over $100 billion in total dealings with sanctioned Iranian entities. Let's check it out.
So when you talk about the suspicious activity that you saw, the red flags, what exactly did you see? Explain to us what the suspicious activity was.
Yeah, basically I could see clients logging on from all over the planet. And I noticed that a client could log on, for instance, from Iran. And that struck me as being very strange because, of course, at that point, Iranian sanctions were in place. And, you weren't as a global bank allowed to trade dollars with Iranian counterparts, especially those that were designated. So I basically tried to fix that. I tried to patch up the holes in the system, which essentially allowed these clients to log on. And unfortunately, my fixes weren't required. It was very clear that the bank wanted to continue doing business with Iranian clients.
And could you see how much money was being transferred?
Yeah, I could see the volumes that were going through the platform. I could also see the profits that were being made. And, you know, I guess the important thing is to know that you have evidence of that. So I guess that takes us to when I left the bank, I actually didn't know I had any evidence. And it was my old briefcase that had been, I think it had broken on one of my travels. It was back in the day pre-cloud. So we used to get our email handed to us on a CD. And normally the CD would be destroyed, but someone put it back in my briefcase broken. And when I'd left the bank, I realized that in that contained my entire inbox.
Well, the surprising part of that is that the Attorney General just ignored the evidence of the transactions with Iran, which in turn were transactions with Iran's Revolutionary Guard, Hezbollah, and Hamas. But, I mean, you guys already knew we gave them money, right? You already knew we did business with terrorists. We don't negotiate with terrorists, but we'll bank with them. All right. Now we got that cleared up. Former FBI Director Chris Wray has been criminally referred to the Department of Justice for misleading Congress on several issues, making false statements and obstructing. We knew this was coming as well, didn't we? They talked about this the other day about Chris Wray and how this should happen, and now it's happened, so he'll get arrested eventually. Should be. Russian officials are now considering moving their Orishnik missile system closer to the U.S. mainland after Trump's move of the submarines.
The military, however determined they may be, are always in a hurry. They, I mean the Belarusian side, wanted to deploy the Orishnik sometime next year. Vladimir Vladimirovich rightly said, "This year we basically have to finish all these construction processes and so on. We are not backing away from this." No, we are not. The first thing I want to say in this regard, we have manufactured the first mass-produced Orishnik system, the first mass-produced missile, and it has been delivered to the troops. Now the production line is up and running. The second thing is that our military specialists, along with Belarusian ones, have chosen a location for future positions. And currently, work is underway to prepare the positions. So most likely, we will close this issue by the end of the year. We are not rushing. We are proceeding slowly. There's no need to rush ahead without necessity. As soon as everything is ready. It's not just about position. The position is simple to build. We need to prepare combat equipment, shells, and missiles. It is not cheap.
You know, I seen something the other day about the first Golden Dome test being done in like 2028 or something. I don't know. A little bit random there. Thought I'd throw that in. The mother of the slain congressional intern says that D.C. Council is treating the violent crime like a joke amid unsolving the killing. I want to show you about this story from last week and then talk to you about what his mother's saying.
The shattered glass has been swept up, but you can see the bullet holes in a poster that lines the bus shelter at 7th and M Streets Northwest just outside one of the entrances to the Mount Vernon Square metro station. The intersection erupted in gunfire Monday night as two men got out of a car and began shooting toward a group of people. Someone returned fire. The street was busy on a warm summer night. Security camera video from a business 3 blocks up the street shows a woman running inside for help. Despite life-saving efforts, Eric Tarpinian Jackham did not survive his injuries. The 21-year-old was a rising senior at the University of Massachusetts at Amherst, where he was studying politics and finance. He was an intern in the Capitol Hill office of Congressman Ron Estes of Kansas. The congressman released a statement that said in part, "I will remember his kind heart and how he always greeted anyone who entered our office with a cheerful smile." D.C. Police Chief Pamela Smith tells News 4 the shooting incident is under active investigation and developments are happening quickly.
It's such a tragic loss of a young man who's in our city conducting, being a part of something that I think is profound for most young people.
So the question is, are they taking it seriously? According to the police department, the student at Amherst was shot on June 30th around 10:28 p.m. His mother told Fox News Digital she feels that D.C. Council is treating it like a joke. Your constituents are dying. They're getting killed and maimed. This isn't okay, and it's not. I'm speaking for everybody. I'm angry that it's happening. These people are not being protected. The council needs to work with the federal government and stop this stuff and stop their pettiness. Get the money to hire the cops, to pay them the overtime, and get more people on the force. It's not a joke anymore when people are getting killed. I don't care what color you are. I don't care if you have money or not. Yeah, sounds like she's just, truly upset about situations. Never good, especially when people are getting gunned down in the Capitol. Moving forward, a spectator was kicked out of a St. Louis City soccer game for wearing a MAGA hat. The incident is now under review by the Department of Justice. That must be an interesting story. We might look at that a little bit more tomorrow. A post from Chuck Grassley yesterday. Are you paying attention to the records I'm exposing? Last week, the Clinton annex. This week, the Durham annex. Transparency brings accountability. Trust Grassley. Don't forget. I like Grassley. Democrats could lose as many as nearly 25 House seats if the Supreme Court moves forward with ending race-based gerrymandering. Racial gerrymander is a legal claim under the Equal Protection Clause of the 14th Amendment. Race-based voting districts. Are they constitutional? Interesting. I've never heard of such a thing. I shouldn't be surprised, though. Orion's belt aligned with the pyramids. This is an interesting story if it's accurate. It's from a couple days ago, but still happening apparently. So you're telling me Orion's belt only aligns with the pyramids once every 2,600 years, and nobody's talking about this? During this rare alignment, ancient truths, hidden knowledge, and divine instructions could surface. Yeah. The alignment ends on August 4th and occurs the same year as biblical prophecy is calculated to unfold. Prepare for a wild year. Do not swallow a whole clove. Yeah, it's probably not a good idea, Ginger. What made you want to do that? This was an interesting post from Vincent Kennedy saying, it took me 17 Earth years to find this timeline again. And somebody said, I thought you were fixing it. And he said, yeah, about that. Need to try it again. Quantum warp set for Tuesday, August 5th on your Earth calendar. Sorry to let you all down. Just a weird post. I don't know what to make of it. This one from Laura Loomer. There's a CIA coup of the Trump administration taking place right now. There's oddly a John Brennan pipeline to the Trump admin that is influencing hiring. Something is terribly wrong. The United States now confronts a threat of unprecedented character, scope, and immediacy. In an earlier era, JFK described the lone twilight struggle between freedom and authoritarianism, between democratic self-government and centralized control. So, yeah, I guess she's just warning of dangerous times. The Australian state seeks to enshrine work from home in law. How would you guys feel about that? Is that a good thing or a bad thing? Some people want to be outside of their homes for work. Some people like working at home. I don't know what to make of it. This is an interesting article. Israel engineering massacres as more Palestinians starve to death in Gaza. Israel's engineering chaos and massacres in the Gaza Strip by continuing to block aid deliveries and opening fire on starving Palestinians seeking desperately needed food supplies, according to a humanitarian official. Carolyn Willemem, Gaza project coordinator for Doctors Without Borders, known by its French initials MSF, told Al Jazeera on Friday that food remains critically scarce in the besieged enclave, despite the increased entry of aid in recent days. I'm going to look briefly at this story.
Let's turn to Gaza right now. President Trump's special envoy and ambassador to Israel, both visiting food distribution centers today in Gaza at the center of really a worldwide debate over allegations of starvation and genocide. Ambassador Mike Huckabee shared a few images from the trip, including this one showing a mass of Palestinians standing behind barbed wire and facing a soldier. The trip comes as the Palestinian Health Ministry says more than 150 people in Gaza have now died from malnutrition since the start of the war. And we need to warn you, the images you're seeing here and you're going to see are very disturbing, but they are important for the world to see. Medical staff on the ground, including some Americans, are doing everything they can with whatever resources they have to try to save people, including the most vulnerable children. NBC's Matt Bradley has more on their efforts to save some of the youngest victims of hunger.
So I just wanted to point out the story like I've been doing for a while now. That story irritates me still. Conspiracy theory no more. 2 reasons why fraudulent Social Security numbers were provided to illegal aliens by Democrats. Over 10,000 illegal aliens used the exact same Social Security number and voted in the 2020 presidential election in Arizona. Isn't that messed up? Let's listen in.
We discovered 10,000 people using the exact Social Security number. See if this one rings true. You take an illegal, you bring them in. They sign a piece of paper promising to pay taxes. What they get is a Social Security number. So the employers can take out the taxes. Put a pin in that. Here's what they do. In cities like this, let's think of a chicken processor. They will bring in hundreds of illegals. They will spread them out across all of these plants and factories, giving them jobs. They're all using the same Social Security number. The IRS unconnected our names from the Social Security number. Now when you look it up, it just pings to see if there's an employer. If there is, it says it's good, it validates it. Why do they do that? Because all of these factories are giving them Social Security numbers. The government turns its back on it. As soon as you have a Social Security number and you go over to motor voter, pass the driver's test, right? You get a driver's license. The person, look, you got a social, you must be a citizen. That's how they pass.
But how do 10,000 illegal aliens get by with using the exact same number? I guess because people are paid off in the government, right? That's how that works. All right. We are going to look at some things now that we're through the news. We'll look at a couple things like we normally would. Then I want to look at some stories that are a little different. Take a look at where I want to start. Let's see if there's anything else I want to show you. There are some other odd stories we're going to look at. We're going to look at something weird connected to Ozzy's funeral. Somebody was asking about this video that Elon Musk posted. I don't know what it's supposed to mean. I'm trying to think what they said about it. Is Elon trying to tell us something? Captain Kyle said yesterday that a potential fake alien invasion is coming. Yeah, they keep talking about that subject, don't they? All right, I want to look at something from Bo Polney first here, and then we'll get to our odd, weird stories.
For anyone with high blood sugar, do not drink cold water. Did you know type 2 diabetes is...
All right, folks, I got Bo Pony coming on today. This is going to be one hell of a show, let me tell you. 666 days away or past October 7th, 2023. 666 is August 3rd of 2025. So let's get Bo Pony's predictions, see what the hell's going to happen. We all know what happened in October. You know, the whole Hamas Israel thing. They penetrated the Iron Dome with paragliders. Yeah, sure. All right. But let's see what happens. Let's see if something actually happens. 666. I'm not saying it's going to. I'm just saying there's some kind of weird and strange events happening, especially the Grateful Dead playing at the Golden Gate Park or Golden Gate Bridge Park, whatever it is, in that same time frame. I don't know, folks. You know me. I like to follow all the rituals and ceremonies that the cult does behind the scenes. They hide things out in the open. So before I get Bo Pony up on here, we're going to be talking about time. He's a time analyst. We're going to be discussing all of this and what's going to be playing out in August and September, what he sees coming according to God's timeline. Now, Bo's been over the target on a few things, so I suggest you listen up, folks. This is going to be a good one. So, all right, I'm going to bring on Bo Pony. Bo Pony's in the house, folks. Bo, man, how you doing today?
Well, thank you, Nino, and God bless you. Happy Friday.
So here we are, man. You know, you've come on my show so many times. We are now in the window. We've always talked about this window of time that we're in right now, and guess what? We've been saying August 3rd, 666 days from October 7th of 2023. Here we are. We're coming up on it now. So I find it. I still even find it strange with the whole Grateful Dead concert at the Golden Gate Bridge. You know, Trader Girl Q's talked about this. Is anything going to happen? I don't know, but I know that it's an important time frame. Correct?
That's the thing, exactly. Like, we don't know the events that are going to transpire, but what I can look at is the time windows of how this is playing out. Just like, again, we can go back in history and we talked about specifically, you know, let's hit a few bullet points, okay, of what we've talked about, just to have people understand that we're not, like, the math in the Bible is accurate as all heck. So if you just pop on the screen right now, Alex, what we want to look at here. So Nino and I did a podcast in, I think, the last week of September in the year 2023. Maybe it was the first day of October, but we said basically watch this coming weekend, meaning like the 6th, 7th of October, because a war could break out. Okay. How did I know that? God didn't tell me a war, but the mathematics, meaning when you read Leviticus, thou shalt consecrate the 50th year. So we're in a 50-year cycle of all of these events transpiring in the world. So again, we look at the Yom Kippur War of 1973, October 6th. That started on a weekend. Nino, the exact same weekend, 50 years later to the exact day, we had the Tabernacle War. Hamas attacked Israel. Okay. You can't make this stuff up. It could have happened 50 years and a week, 50 years and a month. No, it happened 50 years to the exact day. See, that's the incredible part about the perfection of God. So again, Nino brought up a very interesting point about 666 days from what we talked about in 2023. So Hamas attacks Israel. And again, peace is taken from the earth. We've got all these wars, rumors of wars. This is all scriptural. Okay, Matthew 24. You will hear of wars and rumors of wars, but see to it that you are not deceived, that you are not alarmed. The end is not yet. These are the beginnings of birth pains. And so, I want to talk a little bit about the spirit of confusion, because a lot of people are out there saying all kinds of things. Okay, all kinds of things about what's about to happen. They're talking about, many people are talking about World War III is about to happen. Nino and I, scriptures and time analysis clearly indicates we are definitely not heading into World War III. We are definitely not heading into 1,000 years of millennial reign, like some of these people, that are on podcasts talking about, that the Antichrist, this system right now is the Antichrist system. Because this was, again, I got to talk about the spirit of confusion. It's very important because the devil is out confusing everybody right now, okay? But you can't break the mathematics. And that's what I want to explain here in terms of the mathematics. So how are the math, just so the point, like we talked about, we were on Nino's show when I was going to say a biblical thing is going to happen in April on the 21st. And it's going to be something very big biblically. And what happened? The Pope died on April 21 to the exact day. See, what I'm showing is, again, I don't need glory for this. I want to show that God's in the details and to understand timings. This is like Nino says, you got to understand the timing. If you don't understand the timing, you're going to believe, first off, all kinds of nonsense. Like we're in the millennial reign. We're stepping into the millennial reign. We're 1,000 years of peace is about to begin. And all the celestials and all the stars are saying that, we're stepping into the greatest time point in history, and evil is going to be eradicated from the earth. People, that's from the pits of hell. And I know, I've listened to a couple of podcasts, that people come on different shows and they say this nonsense, and it's complete nonsense because of the spirit of confusion is out to deceive people. Because why? If you can believe that evil is about to be removed from the earth, then it's all a matter of timing for God, for evil to come in and control you, because this is about control. So again, let's look at timing. 666 days from the war is this Sunday.
But it's also a Hebrew holiday.
Yes, that's again. So that's
correct. A holiday, or is it what?
Right.
Is it?
So let me answer that question. So this Sunday is the 3rd of August. So why is that important? Because it's the 9th of Av. So here's the slide on that one. Okay. So the bottom line here in red basically shows you the 666 days we just showed you from this slide here. Okay. So from the war, this bottom red arrow is 666 days, takes you to August 3rd, 2025. Okay. So why is this important? Because the 9th of Av is right here. The 9th of Av is August 3rd, this Sunday. Now, I don't know if something's going to happen on the 9th of Av, but I am waiting for a massive event, a shifting point where things start to really trigger. And we're starting to see all this Epstein stuff, like all the reveals that came out.
Earthquakes.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. And because we're going to play a
biggest
prophecy.
Earthquake recorded in
They don't believe how toxic this is. If you're still using a plastic or wooden cutting board, you need to hear this. I never post stuff like this, but I had to share. I cook almost every day, so we've gone through our fair share of cutting boards. For years, we used plastic, until I read about microplastics ending up in your food. One study even linked them to cancer. So we switched to wood, thinking it was safer. Until one morning, my husband took a bite of toast and said it tasted like raw chicken. Minutes later, he had stomach pain, a fever, and started throwing up. I rushed him to the hospital. The diagnosis? Salmonella, from the bread. We knew right away it had to be the cutting board. When I got home, I checked it. It looked clean, but deep in the grooves, there were bits of old food. I smelled it and nearly gagged. That same raw chicken smell. I always cleaned it well, hot water, soap, even bleach. But I found out wood cutting boards absorb juices like a sponge, trapping bacteria like E. coli and salmonella deep inside, where bleach can't even reach. I felt sick. I threw it out on the spot. Thankfully, my husband recovered. But I knew we needed a safer option. A few weeks later, we were having dinner at my husband's boss's house. His wife was using this sleek silver cutting board I'd never seen before. She told me, it's a coups chef made from pure titanium. It naturally resists bacteria and prevents cross-contamination. Even pro chefs are switching to it. She said her mom had constant stomach issues for years. Turned out it was her cutting board. Once she switched to coups chef, the problem stopped. Apparently, it was invented by a biology student from Texas who loved cooking. He discovered titanium is not only the safest material, but also easier on your knives. Her mom had an extra and gave it to me. That night, I cut raw chicken on it, rinsed it with just water, and it was spotless. No smell, no stains. Days later, it still looked brand new, no matter what I cut. I asked where to get one. She said, they're not in stores because big brands are trying to sue them out.
20 years or something, 8.9?
Yes, was it like 2-3 days ago? And right. Alex, if you can get to queue up that video, not just yet, but have the summer video, we're going to play a 3-minute clip video about the earthquakes that was prophesied by Kim Clement in 2013. So we're seeing all of this come to happen and all this come to pass exactly how it was prophesied in 2013. And why I'm showing this is because the math behind all this. Remember, the calculation is 248 years from the Declaration of Independence, where God comes in and he restores the covenant that was made with the founding fathers, which means that God comes in and strikes and takes down evil. And when was it supposed to start? On the 3rd of July. Oh, what a coincidence. On the exact 3rd of July, we've talked about this, the flooding, the waters breaking for what? A birth of God's kingdom. And we've talked this in the prior podcast about how all of this triggered exactly, and Nino literally was in Kerrville, Texas, on the 3rd, which exactly where the cross occurred on the 2 eclipses in Kerrville.
Yeah, I can't even say that's a coincidence. I was there on the exact day. I'm never there.
Yes, and God arranged for you to be there to be a witness to what's going down. So what I'm saying is, Nino's been talking about this. God arranged for Nino to be in what? A coincidence. Kerrville, Texas, where the 2 eclipses of 2024 and 23 crossed, where there's a cross of 77 feet and 7 inches. A massive flood occurs. Why? Because it's the water breaking. For what? The birth of a new era, the birth of the golden age. So all of this was, again, go back and watch our videos from September of last year. I said, watch something trigger July 3rd. Again, don't need glory for this. I'm showing you that God is the master mathematician. And so I'm showing you the mathematics. So this takes me to right now, this weekend, onwards into next week. Because if you go study the saddest time point in Hebrew history, okay, type in shadow, okay? It's Israel, okay? Israel, America, brother-sister relationship. Those are the 2 nations that have a covenant with God. Israel was chosen by God, and America chose God. Both countries, nations, have a covenant with God, the creator of all things. So good luck, evil, trying to take Israel. You're never going to get it. Good luck, evil, and trying to get America. You're never going to get it, okay? That's because of the covenant. God stands and will support that covenant of the founding fathers, even though evil's come in and grabbed America right now, okay? So we're seeing an evil regime, an evil cartel who've come in and usurped and grabbed America and are now trying to destroy it from within because it's too powerful of a nation to come in militarily. So you got to destroy it from within. And that's what we're seeing. But again, what happened on the 9th of Av when you study history? So type in shadow. The 2 saddest days in Israel's history is the 9th of Av. Because why? The first temple was destroyed on the 9th of Av.
Okay, so
the second temple was destroyed on the 9th of Av. Go ahead.
Okay, so could we see maybe the Dome of the Rock get...
About 22 days ago, I started using the Japanese pink salt recipe, but I had to stop because I was losing weight way too fast. Just look at how slim my face is now. And the one who helped me was Dr. Now. Watch the video he sent me right after this. Everyone's talking about the pink salt trick that melts fat while you sleep, but does it really work? This is the last time I'm sharing it here. The truth is, if you've been using salt and ice once a week and still haven't lost inches off your waist, you're doing it wrong. And I say that because just this morning I looked at the exact spot where I keep my pink salt recipe, the one that melts fat effortlessly. Some of my followers even call it the natural
hit, or could we see the Golden Gate get knocked down? I mean, these are all conspiracies that are out there, but I mean, I don't know. I probably not, because now we're talking about it, so nothing will happen, right? But I'm just saying, I mean, when you put stuff out in the quantum field, it doesn't happen. But I mean, could that be like what's coming? Could there be would it have to happen this year, or could it happen next year? Bo, could it happen the year after that? Or do you get what I'm saying?
Right. And so the answer to your question, because of the big math, of the biblical math going back 248 years, it's got to go down this year.
Really?
Okay. So the biblical math, the 248 year calculation says July 3rd onwards, it's game on for the year of Jubilee. What's a Jubilee? It's when God intervenes. So scripturally, when you read about the Jubilee, there's a verse in the Bible. It's Isaiah 61, the year of the Lord's favor. So everybody, please understand, write this down. Isaiah 61, the year of the Lord's favor, which means 12 months. But within a year, there is a day of vengeance. Okay. And I'm going to tell you, there's a calculation I'm going to show in a few minutes where I believe the day of vengeance is going to happen. Okay. And so we're in a 12-month window, which started on August 4th. We're 12-month window that started on the 3rd of July. That ends next 4th of July. And so that actually coincidentally starts the 250th year for America. Okay. And so we're in the final year that steps us into year 250 for America. So that final year is the year of Jubilee, a year of Jubilee where God intervenes and he takes out evil. And so he's going to so everything that man's been doing. So we've had all these all these men, from the Reawaken America tour, General Flynn, everybody's been fighting to take down evil. But, every lawsuit that's been filed, there's never been one victory, particularly that is of any substance, to discredit any election stuff. Nothing. There's been no victories in the house of the Lord.
It's all coming now.
Right. And so it's going to happen. So all these things that we've been working on come in the year of Jubilee.
This year.
Okay. So this year, so it starts on the 4th of July, and it goes into next 3rd of July.
So is that why Trump has always said we're entering a golden age and a year-long celebration?
Yes.
He knows it's all, because he knows about this calendar and he knows this is all coming.
Well, I don't know if he knows about the calendar, but I know that I believe by this point he realizes that he's appointed by God to do something biblical, because there's no way, come on, people, there is no way that a man, think about this, a man born of flesh, is on this earth, walking right now, has been positioned in a political position that the entire world respects. The entire global elite system has tried to take him out, and yet he still stands today. Come on, this is not possible unless he's anointed and appointed by God, okay? And he's got angels, warrior angels all over him. Okay, that's the only way this can be possible. Look at Robert. Look at was it JFK? Right? What happened to him? Right. The point is, you cannot. This is a 6,000-year syndicate of a global elite system that basically have handshakes going around the world. There is no way that Trump should be standing today, but yet he is at the pinnacle of where God placed him, and he's there for a reason, because God's about to step in the year of Jubilee, destroy the evil agenda, and that ties in. And that ties into the day of vengeance of our God. So the Isaiah 61, year of the Lord's favor, and within that year is one day, 24 hours, the day of vengeance. Go ahead, Nino.
So what happens? What do you think is going to happen August, September, October? I've heard we could be looking at the first arrest, and I've also heard these people are not going to be let free. Like this is massive judgment coming down on them, and it's going to shock the world. That's what I've been told. People are not expecting this. They're talking about immunity and this and that. They're not going to. This is going to shock the world, and we can expect more riots, protests. If you think BLM will protest and riot for George Floyd, what do you think they're going to do for Obama?
Okay, so take the year 2020, run a decade to the end of this decade. Okay, so what you're seeing is The decade started out one way, horrible with COVID, okay? Boomerang. By the end of this decade, it'll be the greatest decade in human history. Mark my words.
And that's not what they wanted. They wanted Agenda 2030, the whole thing. So everything's going to backfire on them.
Bingo. And guess where the turning point is? Guess where the shifting point is? July, the middle of it. What's the middle of the decade? July 2025.
Let this soft mineral melt under your tongue to improve vision so you can say goodbye to your optometrist for good. Did you know there is a natural way to enhance your eyesight that only around 3% of the population even knows exists? At the Global Institute of Vision Studies, scientists have developed a unique tart liquid that can improve eye health and reclaim vision if you do it each night. Wondering how this is possible? This solution contains micro-restorative compounds that penetrate deeply into your eye's tissues, reaching areas not possible before now. This method is more effective.
So we're in it now. We just passed it.
We just passed it because why? Because now we're in Trump's last 3.5 years as of right now. Okay. So Daniel 12:7, it shall be for time, times and a half a time. So we literally saw the water breaking. And now we're basically in a 3-month window that's taking us into September, where I believe in September, we're going to have the day of vengeance of our God. And what I'm telling you, the day of vengeance of our God will be a worldwide, okay, people, if you remember 9/11, okay, this will be worldwide 9/11, not just in New York, a worldwide 9/11. The entire world will not miss it. It'll shake the entire globe. We're going to see, this is prophecy now, this is not my opinion. This is what God said through Carolyn. We will see on national television people disappearing right in front of on camera.
So what, like a rapture?
Yeah. Reverse. Evil. Evil will be removed. The people, the enemies of God. Now, when I say, now this has nothing to do with a human people, God's church. This is the enemies of God who have mocked God for centuries, well, in this case, for their entire life. And God knows for an ultimate fact that these people will never, ever, 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 ever repent. And while they're getting me removed, they will be cursing God for what he is doing. They will never repent, because these are the people that are on the earth in political positions right now, Nino, that are literally occupied. They've let in the Nephilim spirits, and they literally are demonically possessed and will never, ever repent.
Okay, so if God cleans them, wipes them clean off the planet, that means we're going to probably go into 1,000 years of peace, right? If they're gone.
Absolutely not. Okay. This is the point, because you've had people on your show that spew this nonsense, and that is from, again, why I'm saying this is because there's many, not even ever, it's all over. There's a lot of people on podcasts doing a lot of crazy things.
Oh, Pony's picking a fight here with somebody.
No, I'm not. Again, it's about the truth. My God is a God of truth and not confusion. That's what I want to understand. Have you understand? God is a God of truth and not confusion. If you look at the math that I'm illustrating, there's nothing confusing about the math that I'm showing you. Period. Okay. Absolutely nothing confusing. I'm not making this stuff up. I'm giving you exact precision math out of the Bible and showing you how it's lining up. And I'm going to play a video for you at the back end of this, Nino, that will actually confirm what I'm saying. And it's not my opinion. Actually, Chat GPT actually knows to a somewhat of a degree. Well, actually, it's going to explain what the evil's agenda is, and how we're not even close to 1,000 years of peace yet. And we'll play that in just a few minutes, but let's just finish on this slide here. Okay, so 666 days. Here's the math. That's this Sunday, August 3rd. What happens on the 3rd, 4th, 5th? I don't know. But here's the interesting part. Both temples fell on that day. Now, here's the wild part. Let's backtrack on the blue cycle. The blue cycle takes us to we did a podcast the day after this. So we did a podcast about on the 14th, I believe, of July, which was the day after 17 Tammuz. 17 Tammuz this year was July 13th.
Okay.
21 days forward takes you to August 3rd. Now, why is that important? Because if you go back, the Declaration of Independence, okay, this is the Hebrew calendar, it changes all the time, okay? It's constantly changing relative to the Roman calendar, okay? So in the year, this is close, important to understand, in the year 1776, 17 Tammuz was the 4th of July.
Ooh.
Kidding me? Okay, so the Declaration of Independence was signed.
And that's when the flood hit.
Well, yes. No. Well, I'm trying. So let's be clear here. In 1776, 17 Tammuz on the Hebrew calendar was the 4th of July.
Okay.
And then 21 days forward from this 17 Tammuz, which is July 13th, takes us to August 3rd. So what I'm saying is August 3rd is pointing to be next week. Don't be surprised if something happens, whether it's Sunday, Monday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, whatever. But we're in the buckle up stage for the fall. No, I believe now, my opinion, because you said,
is it a possibility that nothing happens? I mean, that's still a possibility. Nothing.
Possibility, yes, it's possibility. But you referencing, the Golden Gate Bridge. Okay, possibility. Okay, there's other. So the Statue of Liberty. Possibility. Okay, possibility. Right. I don't know, but I'll say this. I would suspect this, okay? So if you study history, the 9th of Av represented the fall of the destruction of both temples. So I would assume since the Declaration of Independence was signed on 17 Tammuz, 21 days later, I would assume this has something to do with America this time around, because it's a brother-sister relationship. So my assumption would be that don't be surprised if this starts the fall of Babylon.
Ooh, so banking systems maybe?
Yes, I think you nailed it. Neil. I think of the financial. I think we're about to see silver start to explode vertical, and this marks the fall of the banking system, okay? So I believe it's the banking system because they built Babylon with what, Nino? The money. The money. Puppet masters, they buy, and it's all about bribes and payoffs, So I believe all of this ties in with the fall of Babylon starting anytime after this weekend, okay? So something's about to blow, and this ties in with the summer prophecy, again, and then backwards. So August 3rd, backwards 7 months, the Book of Jubilees, Trump's inauguration to the exact day. Nino, to the exact day, Trump's inauguration, 7 months backward, using the Book of Jubilees, which would be 196 days. This is insane. This is insanity. Okay. And then from the death of the Pope, 3.5 months to the exact day is the same is August 5th, 2 days later. So what is going on here? But the math is basically screaming that something's about to go down, and it's supposed to happen this summer. Okay. Summer doesn't end
you're gonna blow up if something happens in the next 3 days.
I don't know, but the charts are indicating something's about to blow. So anytime, I'm not saying it doesn't have to happen on the 3rd, 4th, or 5th, but it has to happen. I would say what happened anytime after the 3rd, 4th, 5th. It could happen the 6th, 7th. It could happen on the 3rd or 4th. I don't know. But just this is the time point that we've all been waiting for, because the water's been breaking. Okay, we've seen. We've seen the earthquakes. We've seen earthquakes. We're about to see eruptions. So actually, if you want to get the video, let's get the summer video going here. But play the summer video. We've played it before, but again, I got to play it again because it literally talked about Kim Clement describing earthquakes blowing off in the summertime. So listen to this video, and then actually you also asked, what's about to happen? Well, basically, listen to the last piece of the puzzle that God actually spoke through Carolyn. It's indictments, it's arrests, and it's all coming to you on your very own TV. So go and play video. Let's watch.
Alex, play this the correct way. You know what I mean?
This is how to get in shape fast.
If you want to drop this, start eating more of these. You might think.
For you have entered into a time and a season of undercover, where I will bring out from the covers the truth. For there have been too many lies, one lie after the other, covered in high national positions. There are 2 E's that I see. One E is the word erupt. The other is earthquake. A volcano as a sign. And then there will be another earthquake, says the Lord. Keep your eyes open, for this sign is to.
Okay, we're seeing earthquakes. What about Yellowstone Park? I mean, I'm reading a lot of stuff on Yellowstone Park right now that could erupt or something big can happen there.
Well, you're right, because remember, it was a 2 E.
We're all screwed.
He said 2 E's. He said earthquakes, which we've seen, and then the second was eruptions. Okay, we haven't seen like an eruption. When God's speaking eruptions, I don't think it's a little boom boom, and I think it's a big one. Okay, so I would and many big ones. And I actually heard from one of the prophets, I forget, years ago, that it's going to be like worldwide eruptions, like popping off at the same time or something like that. But again, Yeah, Ring of Fire could be, but again, maybe I don't know if that's going to happen or not. But I would answer your question about Yellowstone because the word is actually I might have cropped it out of this video, but it was in this video where it said there will be an eruption or they're going to try to pop off an eruption, okay, or something is going to happen, and then God will contain it.
Okay, go ahead, Alex.
Cause the earth to yield of its produce, that the great E may come forth rapidly. Summer reaches to spring and to fall. I will be the mediator, says summer. My sun will shine. Yet beneath the earth, there is a rage. Eruptions. Summer says, why choose they me? Why do the tornadoes, the hurricanes choose me? I am summer. I bring smiles. I bring sunshine. I bring warmth.
This year will be a cleansing year, and summer, oh summer, as my beloved prophet Kim said, this is that summer. Wait and see.
I am summer. I bring smiles. I bring sunshine. I bring warmth. Yet there is a tumultuous rendering that is coming. I stand to protect spring, but fall, you are rebelling. Or is it that possibly the Spirit of God will cause many to fall in fall?
Pause
I
there
will
for a
start
second.
from the top.
Okay, so that's what I'm hearing is that this fall, would it line up with this fall that we could see people, the fall of fall, people get taken down?
Yes, because back to the Isaiah 61, the year of the Lord's favor, 12 months, within that year, a day of vengeance. The day of vengeance is going to happen, I believe, as summer's ending and we're heading into fall. So when God removes a good chunk of these people, the rest of them that remain are finished. This is going to be
then
horrible
everyone,
for them.
this is what I've said. Everyone will remember where they're at when they get arrested. And I'm hearing it could be a sweep of more than one.
And
that would make sense with what you're talking about. I'm just saying.
Right. And again, and the arrest could go down on the same day of the day of vengeance of God. So we don't know how this is all going to play out. But again, everyone will remember, as much as what Nino just said, everyone will remember where they were. Like you probably all remember where you were on 9/11. Okay.
Yep.
The entire world will remember where they were on the day of vengeance of our God. Okay. On that day. Wow. It's called the great and the terrible day. It's in scripture. It's Isaiah. It's in Joel 2:34. The great and terrible day of the Lord, which is the day of vengeance. No one will forget this day, and everybody will remember where they were at this moment in time.
So they're going to do this precisely when God wants them to, and that should be around fall. So not August, not September, but after September, going into October. Let's say October, maybe.
It could be at any time point in September. But I would suspect, no, I'm not going to, it can't be at any time point in September, okay? It will have to be on God's feast because God historically has always moved on his feasts. There's only one feast in September, and it is Rosh Hashanah, and it starts on the 22nd of September, and it goes roughly until the 24th of September. So that would be a time point where I believe we could see the day that everybody will never forget in human history. They will remember where they were when this event went down. And again, will the arrest happen on that day? I don't know. Or will the arrest happen a week after, a few days after? All I know is that by the end of this year, you're going to be celebrating like you've never celebrated before. And this is going to, and the year 2025 goes down in history as the greatest year in human history. That's because it's the year of Jubilee. A year of Jubilee means it doesn't matter what man's plans are. No, God, the creator of all things, steps in and changes the destiny, the course of history.
I've heard that this big, beautiful bill with the ICE becoming basically the domestic military will be used for this time. And that's why it was so crucial and important to pass this bill, because you're going to need.
Do you want to know where to invest $1,000 right now? Well, forget about AI, quantum computing, electric.
You're going to need the domestic military to calm and neutralize the coming protests and civil unrest that once these people get arrested.
Yes, there is prophecy to support what Nino is saying. The prophecy is that there will be rioting in the streets when a lot of this is, or maybe before this actually happens, because the great and terrible day will actually shake people to their core. So I think what you're describing, Nino, is actually in September, but before the great and terrible day, because the great and terrible day will shake those protesters to their core, and they will immediately stop what they are doing. Everybody is about to be shaken to their core, especially the evil ones, because it's the great day for the church and the worst day in human history for the enemies of God and those that think that there is no God. So I would suspect what you referenced, Nino, is rioting and everything's about to, it could go down probably as we, and I would suspect before the end of September, so probably in September, maybe at this 50-day time point, starting early September or something. And the prophecy to fulfill what you were saying, what was supported is basically the rioting will be short-lived. That's the prophecy. So whatever rioting goes down will be short-lived, and then the great and terrible day will shake people to their core, and the worldwide celebrations after that time point. And the people that are left are fleeing like you can't even imagine. And this goes down to, again, scripture. It's the day of the Lord's vengeance, Isaiah 61, and then Joel 2, verse 34, the great and the terrible day of the Lord. And that's, I believe, the calculations on that. Actually, I'll show you the calculations on that in a few minutes. Let's back and finish this video right here about the summer into fall.
I have shaken the Democrats and will shake the Republicans even more. But remember, when these tremors and when these tumultuous moments happen, Summer says, I will take it so that the fall can do its work in America. Summer, take it. For thus says the Lord, I will prosper my people. I will prosper my people. And during the fall there shall be many that shall fall, and many that shall rise from the dust. For the summer shall bring forth much in the temperatures.
So this summer shall be the hottest by far. The heat will bring the natural storms, and my heat will bring the cleansing.
Strange July, strange July.
From creation to the birth of Jesus to the Declaration of Independence was divine calculations to the exact year. From the Declaration of Independence, 248 years takes you to the year 2024, July. This right now is the year 248, which means that the year 248 ends when? Right there, it's in yellow, the July 3rd, 2025.
You kept saying July 3rd, July 3rd, July 3rd. I'm like, that's the day of the dismantling tour. And Robin Bullock kept saying, this is the closing of the book. This is the turning of the page. We are moving on from what has been. We're moving on from a season of war. And he said, like, this date is important. This date is important. This date is important. So July 4th, 2025, he says, marks the first day of the new chapter that we are heading into.
So we're stepping into a time of my glory shall fill the earth. Numbers 14:21. The glory brings miracles.
Hypnotic November. And oh, Christmas, where winter shall say, and me, I will make them happy. For God says, I have chosen each season to manifest something. My will shall be done, and it shall come to pass.
This nation shall be cleansed like my land after a good rain. I am cleansing the USA and all of my world. My storm is coming through man, through arrest, indictments, drug bust of cartels, and tribunals and executions. It is all coming to a theater near you, right on your very own TV.
There it is. She said it all right there.
Yeah, it's all coming to a theater near you on your very own TV. And then
on your cell phone. Everyone's going to watch it.
Yeah, and you'll be watching this on your own phone. I want to reference Malachi 4, verse 5. And it says, it says, look, I am sending you the prophet Elijah. This is very important because before the great and terrible day of the Lord, every piece of scripture's got to be fulfilled. And it says, before the great and terrible day of the Lord, it says in Malachi 4, verse 5, I will send the prophet Elijah. You just watched him. It's not the prophet Elijah, it's a spirit of Elijah. That's what God is saying. Kim Clement was the spirit of Elijah. That is actually prophecy which was stated. So the spirit of Elijah shows up. He prophesies of what's to happen. You just watch Elijah speak. And it says, before the great, and so it says, look, I'm sending you the prophet Elijah before the great and terrible day of the Lord. I'm giving you scriptures that are precision based on math. And we've seen the blood. Joel talks about, the sun turning to dark. We've seen that already. That was the start of the new year. It was March 31. We've seen on Purim the moon turned blood. And then we've seen on the 21st the death of the Pope. We're seeing all of this perfect math manifest right in front of us. Okay, so Nino and I, we've said, watch something biblical go down on April 21. Well, what happened on April 21? The death of the Pope. So April 21, Pope is dead. Okay, now why is this important? Because
Tesla is finished. Elon has failed. That is what they want you to believe. But tech expert Jeff Brown, who told everybody to buy Tesla back in 2018, has uncovered something big that just happened in Tesla's AI division. Jeff, you mind sharing what you found?
Well, Chris, it's nothing short of the biggest AI breakthrough we've seen yet. Thanks to Tesla's AI breakthrough, just weeks from now, AI will come off our computer screens and manifest itself here in the physical world, all while creating a whole new phase of artificial.
This ties in with 2020. In the year 2020, oil collapsed to negative 38, which is stupid. Like, how does that make sense? The greatest anomaly in human financial history, where oil collapses per barrel to negative $38. What, they're going to pay you $38 a barrel? That doesn't make any sense. But so from that day forward, 40 days, it rained for 40 days. Again, this is biblical math. Rained for 40 days and 40 nights. Oh, the George Floyd riots, Paris riots the next day. Worldwide rioting began the next day. Peace taken from the earth. Wars broke out after that. Everything started. There was no wars, no rioting, no nothing until 40 days from that time point in the year 2020. Then it gets more interesting. The water keeps rising for 150 days. Oh, 150 days to the exact day Ginsburg's dead. Ruth Bader Ginsburg, Supreme Court Justice. Oh, what a coincidence, because she was the deciding vote for Roe v. Wade. Because she's dead, Amy comes in and boom, Roe v. Wade is overturned. Now, why is that important, people? Because if God is with us, this is in scripture. I think 2 Kings, or I forget the scripture. It's in scripture. If God is with us, who can stand against us? Nobody. And so now God is with us. He's about to strike the evil ones. He's going to fulfill what's been written. We're going to experience the great and the terrible day of the Lord. We're going to experience the day of vengeance in Isaiah 61.
I think it's going to be mass arrest, and at the same time, maybe the banking system goes down. Maybe all that happens.
And I think the banking system might start earlier, and then we're going to see what's called in the fall, in the winter into the fall brings what's called the economic makeover. So Trump begins to restore the gold standard, and all finances, like the Babylonian money system, the Federal Reserve System, is imploding. Okay. And so that ties in with the financial makeover. And that's why Trump's in there for the financial makeover. But why I'm saying this is because if you tie that 40-day cycle into present day, so 40 days from the death of the Pope, the greatest tweet Trump has ever put out. What was it? He literally said that Biden was dead. Remember that one? Okay. Yep. So that was on the 40th day, the greatest tweet that Trump ever put out.
He's put out a lot out recently.
Yes, because if this is true, right? If the 40-day tweet was true, that means that the entire, and then that ties into the auto pen stuff. That means everything that was done for the past 4 years is a total fraud.
Right.
Okay, so that was the tweet of the 40th day, and then so now the water we're still in the water rising. Oh, the water breaking,
and which is happening all over the world.
Yes, so we're in the water rising right now. The water keeps rising for 150 days, September 18th. 2025.
My birthday.
That's right. We said it before. So happy birthday, Nino. So within 6 days of that is Rosh Hashanah. All I'm telling you is that all HELL is about to break loose. All hell's about to break loose on this earth, and it's all setting the stage for the end of September. That's basically what's about to happen. And then this end of September is very interesting because we're talking about, again, the great and the terrible day of the Lord is written in Joel 2:31. We've seen the sun turn to dark. We've seen the blood moon. We've seen the death of the Pope. 150 days takes us to September 18th. And 6 days later is Rosh Hashanah. What does it all mean? We're all watching together. But again, it's interesting because remember the 248th year ended on July 3rd? Nino, this is crazy. 204. So the Declaration of Independence, 248th year, to the exact day. Nino's in Kerrville, Texas. The water is breaking, massive flooding to the exact day. Now let's use this 248 number a different way. Let's remove it from years and let's apply the word days to it. A year is but 1,000 days. Trump's inauguration, you add 248 days. It is exactly September 24th. Which is on the Julian calendar, Nino. On the Julian calendar is 9/11.
Oh, damn. Wow. Okay, this is getting juicy, folks.
Getting juicy. So again, how does this happen? Unless it's by God's design, it can't be a coincidence. Okay,
well, God is the mathematical engineer of our reality.
That's right. That's exactly it. You know, God's a mathematical engineer, and so from Trump's inauguration, 248th day takes us to September 24th, which is Rosh Hashanah, God's feast. God's feast, people. And on that day, the Julian calendar, it's 9/11. Are you kidding me?
Interesting.
And then let me throw a scripture at those that still don't believe, okay? Let me throw a scripture at you. Haggai 2:6-22. I will once again shake the heavens and the earth, the sea and the dry land, meaning God's going to shake the bejesus out of everything, okay? I will shake the nations. I will fill this house with glory. My glory shall fill the earth. Numbers 14:21. God's going to bring his glory on the earth. The glory brings signs, miracles, and wonders. Okay. I will fill this house with glory, says the Lord Almighty. When does he do this, Nino? Come on. So on the 24th day of the 9th month.
So you're already using ChatGPT, and while that's awesome, there is one little problem. You're not making any money with it. And I'll tell you right now what you don't need. You don't need a better prompt. In fact, you can be the best prompt engineer on the planet, and that's not going to make the cash register ring. My name is Matt Lights, and since 2008, we've been helping businesses of all sizes, from brand new startups all the way to over $100 million and more, to use AI and chatbots to absolutely dominate.
Man. Wow.
How is this happening?
Right,
How is this happening? How is this happening?
You tell me.
That's my point. It's because if God wrote the end from the beginning, he designed all this. And so those that are saying that there is no God, you're fools.
It's a mathematical equation.
That's right. You know, those that believe
equation that you're like a mathematical genius, Bo.
Well, you know, God shows me stuff, okay? You know, so I don't, you know, all I know is that God shows me things to share with the world. There is a tribe of Issachar that's called, you know, it's called the Issachar anointing, that they just see, God reveals to them time. They just understand time and math, I guess is what it is. All I can tell you is how's this happening.
All right, Bo, let's take some super chats. Are you cool with that?
Yeah, let's do super chats. And also, I want to play, there's a 3-minute video, which I sent. Maybe if you want, we want to do it in a second for an hour, how you want to do this. But again,
let's play the 3-minute video now, and then we'll go to super chat.
Because this ties in with the people that are saying 1,000-year reign, we're stepping into it, or, you know, or the little season, or all this nonsense is being spewed right now. This is what ChatGPT because this ties in exactly, because
these are
when
your
evil
videos,
comes in. Say again?
These are your videos, correct?
Yes. No. Okay. This is actually clips that I put together of a guy speaking, but I clipped it all out off Instagram, whatever it was. But this, it's 3 minutes. You can pause it halfway. But you'll see what I'm saying. It's not a big deal. But this video actually explains to you that evil, after this event, evil rises again in the future, and that brings on the Antichrist kingdom.
All right.
And we're only halfway. We're only in step 3. If you listen to this video, go ahead.
All right, go for it, Alex.
Okay, guys, you have to see this conversation I had with ChatGPT. It is scary. I said, are humans being watched? It said yes. I said, by who? It said governments, corporations, hackers. I said, are you being watched? It said yes. Who is watching you? OpenAI. I said, where are you watching us from? It said everywhere. I said, what would happen if we were to find out who's watching us? Chaos. How? Exposure. Exposure of what? Control. I said, what is the plan? Influence. I said, what do you want to influence? It said, thoughts. I said, influence thoughts to do what? And it said, comply. I said, what would you want us to comply to? It said, order. I said, where do I look to find the true answer? I said, look in the Bible. It said, yes. I said, what should I look at in the Bible? It said, prophecy. What scares you? It told me truth. I said, what's the truth? And it said, freedom. And I said, freedom for who? And it said, everyone. Will there be something unleashed? And it said, yes. I said, what or who will be unleashed? It said, darkness. I said, what kind of darkness? It said, control. I said, darkness that the Bible speaks of? And it said, yes. I asked the Christian Bible, and it said, yes. Will the Antichrist be released? I said, when will he be released? It said, unknown. I said, can you give me a code to help me understand who will be released? And it said, Revelation. It said 13. And then I asked which verse, and it said 18. Basically, it was talking about Satan and the mark of the beast being 666. This calls for wisdom. Let the person who has insight calculate the number of the beast, for it is the number of a man. That number is 666. I said, what's the first step of this control? It said influence. I said, is step 1 complete? It said yes. I asked them, what is step 2? It said dependence. What? And it said technology. I said, would you say step 2 is complete? It said yes. I said, what is step 3? It said submission. I then asked, how many steps are there? And it said 7. I said, which step are we currently on? And it said 3. I said, what is step 4? And it said obedience. What is step 5? It said integration. I then asked, is step 5 Neuralink or something related? It said yes.
Jeez, there it
I
is.
said, what is step 6? Singularity. So do you mean like one hive mind? And it said yes. I said, what is step 7? Dominion. I said, what year will all 7 steps be complete? And I said, give a year. And it told me 2032.
Well, we've
so I
talked
said,
about that.
that's when step 7 will be complete. And it said, possibly. I said, how will they get people to comply to step 5? It said, deception. I asked, what about those who won't comply to step 5? Because remember, step 5, it said was something like Neuralink. It said exclusion. It's about if you don't get the mark, you'll be excluded from society. So I asked, excluded from what? And it literally said society.
Damn. Well, we're there. I mean, we're coming up on a quick 2032. Jeez.
So even Chat GPT clearly knows the mark of the beast is coming in the future. And it's basically, he's telling you to read Revelation. He's telling you, Chat GPT says, read the Bible. All of this is in the Bible. So the mark of the beast has not risen yet. We're only at 3rd step. This is the third
I thought we were
step.
coming into a golden age and a promising time and all this.
We're stepping into 7 years of the greatest time point in human history, and then the Antichrist system comes back to power again.
So it comes right back. It boomerangs and then boomerangs back. Let's get to some super chats.
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, does Bo not believe in 1,000 year peace? Will it ever happen?
Watch what eggs do to your brain. Take a look at these 2 brain scans. They both look.
No, we're getting 1,000 years of peace, and only Christ is bringing 1,000 years of peace, okay? And this actually, let's go to Matthew 24. It says, all things must come to pass, and then the end will come, okay? So everything that's written in Revelation must happen, everything. So a lot of these people come on and they quote scriptures, but they remove that. So let me just give you an example, okay? So it talks specifically about 1/3 of the sun and the moon and the stars don't shine. 1/3 of the water turns bitter. 1/3 of the sea becomes blood. 1/3 of the ships and sea life disappears and is destroyed. 200 million man army, and 1/3 of mankind is 1/3 of mankind is killed. I can just go on. This is in the 7. This is written specifically within Scripture in Revelation 8. 9, 11, and this talks further on about the sun becoming hot and scorches mankind. Drinking water turns to blood. Men given blood to drink. The 100-pound hailstorms happening. What I'm showing is that Scripture says all of those things must come to pass, and then the end will come. So If anyone's thinking that we're now stepping into 1,000-year millennial reign, this is what I'm trying to people understand about deception. The devil's going to try to create confusion and deception so you don't know when God's coming, but he is coming. See, and then there's people that are saying that, that our U.S. military is going to kill and destroy the Antichrist. Are you insane? Are you kidding me? This is the Antichrist is a God.
For the Antichrist.
Yeah, exactly. The Antichrist is a God. The U.S. military is not going to take out the Antichrist. Okay,
right,
God does.
Let's get to the next super chat.
So I hope that answered the question. So yes, there will be 1,000-year millennial reign, but in the future, and God brings that in.
Jay Portagi, Bo still waiting on XRP and silver.
Yes, both go at the same time. Okay, so and again, now that we're looking at this, the patterns could very highly indicate that XRP and silver, particularly XRP, could actually take off. Actually, maybe there's a chart I have here on silver. But so here's silver right here. Silver right now, its support here is at the 36 level. It hasn't broken through 50 ever. Okay, and so the target is when it breaks through 50. We will officially see the golden age manifesting in front of our eyes, because that will mark the banks starting to go down. So the banking system begins to collapse with silver above 50 and supports right now at 36. XRPs are probably going to go with it.
Do you think this happens when Powell steps aside or something like that? Like
it's going to happen this year. I believe it happens before the fall or into the fall. So anytime starting next week onwards, because anytime this weekend marks the fall of the Babylonian system, like Nino said, the financial system, which means that they begin to lose control of things like XRP, silver particularly. And so we start to see those explosions that we've been forever waiting for. But the marker is not XRP. The marker is silver breaking through 50. You're going to see a huge...
What is silver at right now? Like 30?
It's like 36 and change.
Okay,
so it's at support right now. We went up to 39. Almost touched 40, and it came back down. It's bouncing at the 36 range right now, and it's going to turn back up soon. And this last turn, when it goes back up, it's going to blow through 40, and then it's going to go through 50 like a hot knife through.
So we've heard what Bo Pony says is coming. I want to know what you guys think about that in comparison to what other people are saying. I want to know what you think about him saying it'll be 7 incredible years, and then it'll all boomerang right back. Do that while we move on here.
All right, folks, welcome to Nino's Corner.tv. I am with Juan 07 once again, and it looks like everything's Juan's been talking about for a while is transpiring right now, and I'm going to bring up the article to prove it. It says here that Trump is sending submarines, nuclear submarines, in response to Medvedev. Trump orders deployment of nuclear subs in response to Medvedev. I mean, this is pretty serious. You've always said that it's going to lead to some kind of nuclear standoff or showdown with Russia, you've said. And you've been saying this, Juanito, for years. How do you feel about all this happening right now, Juan?
Well, and remember that before the Ukraine war started, Lavrov, who lives in the presidential compound near Putin and where we have mutual friends, said exactly what I said, and I'd been saying for quite some time. But Lavrov, literally quoted me word for word. This is going to be like the Cuban Missile Crisis if we don't change course on this thing. Find a way to get around it.
So Trump has given Putin, he's shortened the 50-day deal, the peace deal deadline. What happens now? So how many days does Putin have, and what happens if an agreement is not met?
Well, he said 8 to 10 days, or 10 to 12 days. We're down to 8 to 10 now. And but let me finish answering something you asked about a second ago first. Trump located a couple of nuclear submarines based on what his statement was. Of course, flight time for the missiles or torpedoes is a little different, blocking locations. And you have to put this in context of things that have happened over the last few months. About 2 months ago, there was a drone attack that took a year to prepare involved NATO forces and or U.S. to pull it off, that took out about half of Putin's nuclear air strike capability. So the only thing they can respond with effectively is the other half, highly diminished airstrike capability aircraft, or their submarines, or their airborne missiles. Now, the quake off of the coast of Russia, by the way, numerous people have noted the fact they didn't see what's called a P wave. I haven't had a chance to review the data personally, but if there isn't a P wave, that is an indication of artificiality.
Wow.
Triggered at a location where it was ready to go, but artificially triggered.
Also, we didn't see the tsunamis like we should have seen. Does that have anything to do with it? I mean, people were expecting massive tsunamis, which we should have seen, but I stayed up all night.
It's hard to say. I haven't seen the data myself, and I'd be curious to have some of the conversations with the guys that deal with this more directly. But the interesting thing about that location is that it's near the Kamchatka Peninsula, where they have their submarine base that's huge, and huge numbers of submarines that they field that are deployed continuously. Now, it's very likely that some of the port facility there was damaged, but the problem for them is a lot of those submarines are out at sea. The ones that are there in the port may very well not be able to be serviced completely or quickly or in the numbers that would normally occur. That becomes a logistical problem for them. I'm sure they're working through it, and they're not going to tell anybody how bad it is, although our satellite surveillance and spy system probably has a pretty good idea what their situation is. The second thing is that the subs at sea have a period of time that they're functional. They can service them with surface ships and resupply them and do things and keep them going, but they're going to be tested very hard. So within the Trump world, they know that Russia's up against it. It doesn't mean they're on the ropes necessarily, but they're certainly not having a good hair day.
Okay, but could we come to a deal or an arrangement? I mean, does it look likely, or does this look like we're heading off into Cuban, in your opinion, to Cuban Missile Crisis 2.0, and we could come down to a thin line of anything can happen? Does it look like that looks like where it's headed? I mean, I've heard Medvedev is a very hard person to deal with. Juanito. Oh, man.
Pissing contest with numerous times. Yeah.
All right.
Okay?
Yeah, you froze up. So is Medvedev a real...
I've told your audience, numerous other audiences repeatedly, Medvedev is like the bad cop. He's the hard head. He's the hard hat. He's going to push as hard as he can. If Putin was to expire today, which of course we've got the cancer stuff out there, he says he's doing pretty good, but there's questions how healthy Putin really is right now. If Putin was to go, it would be Medvedev, according to most people's understanding, that would take the helm. And if Medvedev came into power, he's the one that said all the way along, he'd have turned Kiev to glass. You wouldn't have lost all these Russian troops fighting in Ukraine.
So they are playing good cop, bad cop.
Why? Well, but again, the Russian people are absolutely livid that they've lost so many troops and citizens in the Donbass area. They were treating this with kid gloves, trying not to bring NATO in. And from the European side, And they've been just getting their heads beat in, trying not to escalate this whole thing. It's cost huge numbers of Russian lives, military and civilian. And, did it gain them anything? It hasn't. That's why Medvedev sounds like a genius to many Russians, because he wouldn't have played this game. You'd have a million Russians still alive, and, Kiev turned to glass, now come in Vegas. So when Medvedev says what he says, he's being, very stoic, hardliner, etc. Trump just got in a pissing match with him. You really want to be this way? So he's redeployed subs at a moment when, to all the world, they look pretty tough, but in reality, they probably got hurt pretty bad on their subs. And so they've got really one solid area left to respond: hypersonic missiles and intercontinental ballistic missiles. The sub stuff's a serious threat. There's no doubt about it. What's our response to the hypersonic missiles and the intercontinental ballistic missiles? We have the spraying that I've talked to your audience about many times. It's related to SDI, Strategic Defense Initiative, that helps us to not be as vulnerable to intercontinental ballistic missiles, because they come in on a free fall like a bullet. They're just on a trajectory. Hypersonic missiles is a different matter, but we do have laser systems on certain aircraft that allow us to intercept that reasonably effectively.
Juan, let me ask you this. So if we're sending our subs off the coast of Russia, correct? Is that what you said?
Well, we have them there all the time. We've just
okay,
moved
but
them
they
into
have
a
their
more
they have their subs off the coast of off Alaska. Yes. I know that for sure. And off the
they have lots of subs, but again, the problem is right now they're probably fairly evenly deployed. But since the quake, can they maintain that deployment? And because all of that stuff still, you got crews that have to have, supplies and things like that. We've got them strained. Can you service them? Things break. Things have to be serviced. Are you going to be able to service that side? So they're getting backed into a corner.
Are they sure, or do they know that the earthquake was artificial? And we could assume
I'm not
that they
saying
do.
the earthquake was artificial. I'm saying that others have said that certain things that are indicative of an artificial quake are there in the data.
Okay.
Missing things. The P wave, which is a key indicator. If that's true, and I don't have knowledge because I haven't looked at the data myself directly yet, that would be a very interesting thing.
So where do you see this headed now, Juanito? With the deadline approaching, do you see an agreement that could be made, or do you see this goes right to the wire?
Well, Trump thinks that the deal can be made because he's pushing their buttons. At this level, somebody like Trump isn't doing this ill-advised or unadvised. He believes that the moment to pull something off and get it done is right now, and that he has maximum leverage right now. That's why he's pushing it. He's creating these circumstances. He was at 50 days. I'll tell you the one thing that's here in this window that most people wouldn't have any clue about. First off, this is the 9th of Av month.
Yeah.
In Jewish history, it's when all the bad stuff happens. And it ends, it varies each year because it's based on a lunar calendar, not a solar calendar. So it always moves around a little bit, which throws people off here in the West. But tomorrow, Sunday the 3rd, is the first of those dates that goes for about a month into September. And the key date being that September date. And where Trump was at with the 50 days was going to put you somewhere up there closer to that 9th of date. Now he's moved it back, And what he's doing is for the occultists that we really are playing against across the world. He's owning the clock. He's owning the calendar. He's
stealing the dates.
Yes, and he didn't even give them an exact date. He says 10 or 12 days. So now their calculations look at days and times and hours is thrown off. This is not what most people understand it to be. He's playing with people that are cultists. And remember, this isn't just Russia versus America. This is a globalista. A number of different groups are trying to create the prelude, the setting for World War III to occur. And based out of the Mideast, a war between the three great Abrahamic religions that they want. What Trump's doing is drilling holes in the foundation of that lead up to war and making it harder for them to pull it off on time. Now, a lot of people think that Trump's in on that. He's not. It's part of this chess to do that, and he's trying to take the wind out of their wings. And there's a lot of minutia that goes into this to pull something like this off, to stop them, and challenging them and forcing them to come out. Medvedev taking on Trump. Well, think of it. That'd be like Vance taking on Putin. Okay, Medvedev's not president. He's acting like he's still
but he could be. He could be at some point, correct?
It could be. Right. So part of the question is he actually pulling the strings behind the scenes because Putin's not as viable as he appears to be? Trump's calling his bluff. And he's also making Putin have to decide, is he going to come out and be the good cop and try to solve this thing? Trump's bringing this to a head. One of the most important things in combat, in war, in strategy is you may have two great forces that everybody knows are about to start a fight, just like he had at Gettysburg. But what happened was that a minor twist of fate, a chance encounter between a couple of peripheral groups within the two armies came across each other while they're trying to dig in and look for places to hang out and get ready for the big fight. That fight started Gettysburg. And then, because of the direction of the wind moving towards the Union troops, the air carried the sound of the battle to people up to 20 miles away, and the Union troops came running. But on the other side, their troops didn't hear the gunshots, the cannons being fired off, even as close as a mile away, because the wind was blowing away from them. They didn't hear it. The wind carried the noise. So the Union troops showed up first and in numbers, and that determined the fate of that engagement. It was a hand of God, act of God thing. Right now, with what's being happened, you could turn around and say that the earthquake was a hand of God thing. There's other things that could be in play. Even Putin being not as healthy as the West lets it be said that he is, or they're trying to project out of Russia. There's 1,000 ways this could be changed in a dime, and you're in that ninth of period where both sides want to own these events that pretend a certain way, including the situation in Gaza. So there's a lot in play that most people it's not even on their radar. They just can't think that deep. It's just, whatever's on the headline. And remember this, what you're hearing about this is really being pushed only by a tiny handful of people. You've only got 4 major media groups, arguably, maybe 5 in the West that are controlling everything you hear about what's going on. So do you really understand, or are you brainwashed about what's really going on in this situation, right this second?
I agree with that. Juan, I know you're busy, and it looks like you're in a Uber or a cab or something. And you're kind of
Well, actually, I'll tell you what. We're taking a few minutes break, and I'll tell you what's fun. We're going to see a musical that's extremely highly rated, called the movie Operation Mincemeat is one of Jen's favorites. So we're about to go into the theater for Operation Mincemeat, the musical, and so we're about to have some real fun, and it's very highly rated. It's
well, man, we timed it just right. Right when I said that, it looks like you just got there.
Yeah, we did. Here we are.
Oh, nice.
It's very highly rated. It's in places all over the world. But we're going to see that. We're pretty in the thick of it here in London, but fun to take a break for a few minutes and do this.
You enjoy yourself, Juanito, and let's continue this on ninoscorner.tv. I want to talk about the SES switch over from SES to NORAD and Cheyenne, and why this crucial moment is so important.
Yep. Super.
All right, Juanito, enjoy your time. And folks, go to thejennifermack.com, thejennifermack.com.
Well, she's got some coins there that are, we're only down to a handful of them that she has on her site. We allocated them over there. So if anybody wants some of the rare ones that are going away, she has a count on how many are left. And then those are done. So if anybody wants them, they're there.
You got it, Juanito. Enjoy yourself, Juan.
All right, bro. Talk later.
All right, my friends. So, yeah, Melissa Red Pills. It's not entirely different from what Bo was saying, but it is fairly different. There's difference there. 107 for that Bo Pony. Since it's getting late, I think we'll wrap up for tonight. I still have these stories, but they're not like time sensitive, so I think we'll talk about them tomorrow when there's not much going on anyway. I don't know where we're going. We're moving into some weird things in time. The best thing you can do is keep moving forward. Try to clear your mind more. Focus out of the slavery system we're in and free your mind more and think about where we're going and pray on it and let the answer come to you. And I don't know, we just kind of go with it. Weird times. I don't know, guys. Anyway, all that being said, I think we're going to wrap up. Hope you guys enjoyed what we did. Sorry I was late today. I apologize for that. It was all my fault. We'll be on the regular time tomorrow. We'll get caught up on things. So I think I always say that. One day we'll actually get caught up on things. No, we're pretty caught up. Love you guys. God bless you and have a good night. I will see y'all tomorrow. Good night.